Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Player's Stake, episode 67. I am your host, Justin DeSimone, joined by my co-host, Loba's plaything, Montrell Rice.
What?
Look, man, I got to come up with a nickname for you. I didn't think of one before the show. I just come up with the shit on the fly sometimes, okay?
I see.
And the things that come out of my mouth are not kosher, all right? That's all I'm going to say. I was thinking about Apex. I was thinking about Loba, and, I don't know why I called you a plaything, but that's your nickname for the show.
I actually don't mind because she's pretty hot. Anyway,
dude, can I just say, why did the developers do this? They made her so thick. It's just absurd. Like,
I love it. It's
absolutely ridiculous. But whatever. I digress. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing really well.
It's Wednesday. We're recording a day late, because of me. And I don't know. How's your week been? Mine's been stressful and exhausting.
Mine's actually been pretty chill. I feel so bad saying that now.
Dude, it's okay. Like, we live different lives.
Yeah, it's been pretty chill. I don't know, just been playing video games, man. Excited about the YouTube channel. We launched our first video, and
hell yeah. Well, speaking of the YouTube channel, let's go through the rigmarole. For those of you who haven't listened before, Player's Stake is our weekly show where we talk about video games, video game news, and other topics pertaining to video games. We post at 6 a.m. Central Time on Fridays on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, your favorite podcast app of choice. And we are now posting on YouTube. Our first episode, last week's episode, in fact, is up on YouTube currently. And all episodes going forward will be posted 6 a.m. Central Time on Saturdays. Look forward to that. Montrell was playing Battlefront 2, I believe.
Yep.
That's the video that was playing under the show audio. There will be other stuff as well. Like I said, you'll see me playing Legends of Runeterra, Gwent, whatever the hell, Apex probably, as well. So check that out too. Yeah, let's start like we always do with what we've been playing. I'll go first because I don't have much to say. I've been playing Gwent in Legends of Runeterra, also Banjo-Tooie a little bit more. I've gotten through about 2 more worlds. I'm kind of halfway through the 4th world, I think. It's interesting playing this game. I told you pre-show that I haven't played this game in like 10 years, probably.
Okay.
Was the last time I played Tooie. And I'm in a different place as a gamer. Like, I'm enjoying the game a lot still. Like, I love the charm of it, and I really like it as a 3D platform. I find it very enjoyable. But I'm starting to see the cracks in this game's, like, design, and it's like it's almost putting me on tilt a little bit. Like, I kind of don't want to play the game because I'm, like, afraid of what I'm going to find the deeper I go. Like, yeah, the first couple worlds, like, I'm like, man, this is not as well designed as I remember it being. So
that's funny. A lot of the older games aren't as good as we think they are, and then we go back and play them. And
well, we have experience. We have like perspective now. We kind of understand game design a lot better than we did, obviously, when we were younger. And like, yeah, I'm just seeing things in this game like repetitive jiggies and things that are used multiple times, like kind of lazy things and stuff that's like unnecessarily easy, but I guess I'll get into that more like once I finish it, talk through it a little bit more. But other than that, also been playing Apex. They dropped season 5 yesterday. That's actually part of the reason the podcast our recording got delayed, because I wanted to check that out before the show. And Loba got released along with the new season, and she's interesting. I did not play. Well, I played her once and died immediately, so I didn't really get to do anything with her. But our friend Jet was playing her a lot, and he seems like he's going to be using her as a new main because Pathfinder got nerfed into the fucking ground.
Yeah, I saw that.
Actually, into the core of the earth, he got nerfed. Let's just say that. Like, they changed his grapple cooldown from 15 seconds to 35 seconds.
Why?
Fucking crazy. I've never seen a game do that to a character before. Like,
was he that OP'd?
Oh, he was super OP, but like their solution to the problem is just so far to the other extreme. They've just thrown him into a trash heap. Like 35 seconds is nuts. Like, that is an insane cooldown, dude.
I feel like that character is one of those characters where he's not good with a newbie, but like if you're experienced, then he's like really good. You know what I'm saying?
We were talking about that actually. He's like easy to learn, hard to master kind of character. Where like grapple is self-explanatory. It makes sense. Like, it's not hard to use when you first start playing the character, but the more you play it, you understand the complexity of the grapple more, and you understand how to use it better, right?
Yeah.
So the better you get with the character, the better the character is. And that's kind of the problem with him, is that he's a high skill ceiling character in a game full of low skill ceiling characters. And that makes him, for good players, way better than most of the other champions. And that's kind of why he got nerfed so hard, but they did it too hard. They did it to a point where he's like fucking useless, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you can use his grapple once in combat, you know? It's like, it's not great. And I think they're going to discourage people from playing him. Maybe that's their goal with this, and they're gonna buff him later and like put the cooldown to 25 seconds or something like that. I could totally see them doing that.
Yeah.
But to me, I just thought it was like really heavy-handed. I feel bad for Pathfinder mains because they just like, what do you do, dude? Like, quit the game or go play a different character, I guess.
I'm trying to even think of a different character that's like that. I don't think there's really any other character that's unique like that.
In Apex?
Yeah.
That has his like utility. Dude, that's the thing with him. Like, Wraith has gotten nerfed a lot too. Her tactical is good. It is fairly versatile, but it's just not like his. It doesn't give you the mobility that the grapple does, you know?
Yeah.
Like, yes, it makes you invisible and you can't take any damage, but it's like you can't see anything either. It's like a double-edged sword. So it's a good ability. I don't think it's OP though, you know?
Yeah.
Like, so I get it with the grapple, but Loba's cool though. She has this like teleport bracelet. She just throws it and within like 5 seconds teleports to wherever she threw it.
Oh, that's nice.
Really powerful. In a short session last night, we saw like we were fighting a 1v1 squad, 1v1 rather, 3v3. At the end of a game, and we won, and Jet was playing Loba, and he threw his bracelet like on the other side of the team and just like instantly teleported behind them, and they were still looking at me and Snakes, and he just wrecked them from behind.
Nice.
You know? So it's like, it seems a little OP in situations like that to me, but we'll see what they do with it. Her ultimate's cool. It's like she puts her staff down and it shows you all the loot in a vicinity around you, and you can pick up 2 items from that loot basically.
Oh, okay.
So it's a quick way to loot an area real quick if you don't have time, or you just want to see what shit's kind of around, you know, if it's even worth running around to loot. So yeah, pretty cool. She has this passive too that, oh my god, I can't stand this. I already find this to be like a bad teammate character because she can see purples through walls and through bins. So she knows where purples are.
Wow.
And so bad players with this character are just going to run around taking all the purples regardless of their teammates. So I don't know about that one. The range on it seems really high. Like Jet was saying, he could see things like basically through to draw distance with it. So it was pretty nuts. But the new Battle Pass, same as last season, nothing fancy with it. Map changes on Kings Canyon are interesting. I think they're finally making that map like more like World's Edge, I'd say, which some players are going to hate that, but I personally don't like Kings Canyon very much, so I'm all for that change. Otherwise, they took the Peacekeeper out of the regular weapon pool. They made it a drop weapon.
Really?
Yep. So there was some pretty substantial changes. Caustic, his gas no longer slows teammates, which is an insane change in my opinion. I think Caustic is going to be crazy OP now because of that.
Yeah, he is.
Because his gas is so good. Like, it's just so good. And the fact that it doesn't slow us anymore, like, it's basically like Bangalore smoke to us. And, like, the fact that it slows enemies, though, but not us, is nuts, in my opinion. Like, I just think that's crazy that they made that change. So,
we were complaining about. I remember we were complaining about when we first played. But...
Oh yeah, we would yell at Snakes after he played Caustic for like 3 or 4 games. We're like, dude, we can't play with you if you're playing Caustic, because the way it was is it was like he would put his smoke down, and yeah, he'd lock an area down, but we literally couldn't go in because we could slow down.
Yeah.
And we couldn't see anything. So it was just like such a disadvantage. It felt that way. But now it's like, I mean, it's basically like it's not there except for the smoke part, which is really interesting. So yeah, I'm excited to play more Apex. I definitely want to play more. Oh yeah, they added like a little quest thing, like a single player quest mode too. That there's like a quest. You have to play the game, and you get this drop within games that you play, and that advances your quest basically. And when you hit certain thresholds, you get to do this like single player section where you fight like NPC enemies.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of interesting. You can also do that co-op, I believe, but it's kind of cool. I'll be interested to see how fun it is. I'm sure it's not going to be anything like crazy, but it's nice to see them kind of expanding the feature set of the game.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. I'm having fun with the game still. It's like still kind of my main like multiplayer game to play. So, what have you been playing?
No thoughts on Gwent or Legends of Runeterra?
Nope, nothing new. I'm at this point in time. I'm kind of playing. I'm kind of in a holding pattern. Like I'm just hoarding resources right now until I have enough to just make whatever deck I want. So
Gotcha.
That's kind of what I'm doing right now. So.
All right. Well, I finished Dragon Age Origins last week after the podcast, maybe a day or two after the podcast. I finished it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that game, the story, like I said, I wasn't really too keen on the gameplay. It's not because of the gameplay itself. It's because of the platform I was playing the game on. I feel like I would have had a lot more fun with that game on PC.
Yeah.
But the story itself is fucking phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
BioWare has this thing where they make like a cliche, almost kind of action movie hero thing they do. They did it in Mass Effect, they do it in this game, and they do it in Dragon Age as well. But it just feels so satisfying. Walking through dinner, I think it's dinner room, when you're about to fight the Darkspawn or the Darkspawn torn the city apart, and you got your army that you built. Honestly, so that's what I think Mass Effect 3 was trying to build up towards.
Yeah.
Your army in this game, when you build it, makes sense and it has consequences and things of that nature. When you're the Grey Warden and you go around, recruiting people and things of that nature, it actually makes sense because the end of the scene, you can call out these people to help you fight the last archdemon. You can call out, the dwarves to come help you, and they'll actually physically affect your gameplay. So I thought it was really cool because there was certain section I need the elves for because they're mainly range class. There was certain section I need the dwarves for because they're mainly a defensive people, and then I use the humans because they're like a mix of both. So it was like really cool how you could call them out as it's like a cooldown. It's like an ability, but you call out and like 50 of them run out and help you fight people. In the game itself, for it to be an old game, there were a lot of people on screen. Like sometimes it looks like 50 to 60 people will be on screen. It looked like a full scale battle.
And they're all doing their own thing.
Yeah, right? And they're all doing their own thing. So for this game to be like, I think 11 years old, like it's crazy. So I was really impressed by that. And like I said, the story was like really good. It was Lord of the Rings kind of meets Game of Thrones as far as like the White Walkers thing, but it was more Lord of the Ring-ish in that aspect. And the ending, you can choose like 3 or 4 different endings as well, depending on what you do as a Grey Warden. I chose the ending where I got Morgan pregnant and she goes about her business. So because I didn't want my Grey Warden to die. So I played Dragon Age 2 and I blew past this game. I was so over this game. So it's not the game itself. The combat is really interesting and fun. It's really fast paced, but it's still tactical because you have a lot more tactical options than you do in the console version of Dragon Age Origins.
Yeah.
I can tell you for certainty that the reviewers, when they reviewed this game and when people were talking about this game, they were not over-exaggerating. Sometimes people over-exaggerate how bad certain things are.
Right.
I was over the repetitive dungeons by 10 hours. I'm like, I'm done with this shit. I want to play something else. I almost just jumped straight into Dragon Age Inquisition, but the story was really good in this game as well. So this is one thing I think Mass Effect should have learned from Dragon Age. Instead of ending everything at Mass Effect 3, which I think was terrible writing, they should have continued on the story and your effects.
Yeah.
So in Dragon Age 1 or Origins rather, they have the whole gather the army, you're the chosen one, or you're the Grey Warden, gather the army, you gotta fight this big battle at the end against a unleashing hell spawn of people that are dark spawn that are coming to overthrow Ferelden and Thetis in general. You're like your typical action game or typical plot or whatever. What happens is though, so Dragon Age 2, so the first like 2 hours of that game happens during Dragon Age 1.
Yep.
And after that, it's your own story. The hero Ferelden has already left. He's doing his own thing. The blight is already over with, and you're doing your own thing. And what's interesting about Dragon Age 2 is you saw early inklings of the mage and the Templars, how the mages had to really be controlled because they can get possessed by demons, or they can just they have this untapped power that they can tap into if they're not kept under control. Dragon Age 2 and Inquisition expands upon that exponentially.
Yeah.
You are in by the end of Dragon Age 2, there's a lot of stuff that happens, because I don't really want to spoil it for people who want to play through these series again. But even though this is a 10-year-old game, so pretty much your character Hawk has a sister who's a mage, and you can do various things with her as far as choice wise. But he supports full on, like one of your party members is a mage, and he starts the mage rebellions. He blows up the Chantry, which is pretty much their version of the Catholic Church.
Right.
And he blows up the Chantry, and that starts the Templars to go hunt down the mages, and then the mages to start rebel. Because the mages in the world of Dragon Age, mages are really powerful. They can become really powerful and dangerous if not controlled. So they have to control people.
Well, they can bend dimensions and like rip open like doorways to other places they shouldn't be able to and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're crazy.
Yeah, and if not controlled, like they can do all the stuff that Justin just mentioned. Not only on top of that, so people who are magical by nature, you're born like that. So it's not like you just like, hey, I want to learn magic. Like you're born with magical powers, and you can do various things like go into the Fade when you dream. And since you're a mage or you're magical, demons can possess you way easier than they can like a normal human or whatever the case, or normal species. So that's why they have to be kept under wraps. They have to learn how to use their powers and things of that nature. The thing is, though, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
The thing is, though, sometimes some Templars, depending on the Templar Knight Commander, they may go overboard with it and be like, it's just full on. What's the word I'm looking for? Not rebellion. What's the opposite of rebellion? Like, they're tyrants with it. They're just full on tyranny, and they just like, you can't do anything. You stay here, and if I see you out here. Like, they don't even treat them like humans. Sometimes they treat them like monsters, even though a lot of them help them with healing and medical advances and things of that nature. They still just treat them like monsters. So I thought it was really interesting to see that little seed that was planted in Dragon Age Origins, because it's touched on in Origins. You even have a major mission dealing with that, where the Magi Circle, which is where all the mages go, that gets taken over by a mage who just he decides he wants to take shit over, and he's practicing something called blood magic, which is like, I would say, the dark side of mages. And yeah, so you see all that seed get planted, and then Dragon Age 2 like really expands upon that, where they blow up the Chantry, and then in Dragon Age Inquisition, you're in the middle of a full scale like war between the Templar and the mages. Well,
you're an Inquisitor though, aren't you?
You are. But your main thing is like, so the way the game starts, the Inquisition, which is weird. So what's weird about Inquisition is I played Inquisition without playing the first two Dragon Ages a couple years back. And I didn't understand what the fuck was going on. Like, like I didn't understand the opening scene, even the credits, the opening scene where the start menu, rather. The start menu, you have one side, you have the mages walking towards this tower, the Haven, and you have the Templars on the other side walking towards the tower, and they're walking in a straight line towards this tower. So the opening scene is supposed to be the Divine, or which is their version of the Pope. The Divine, she called everyone to come here and like, hey, we're going to do a ceasefire. This is a ceasefire land. We're going to talk about our differences and get everything out. Try to settle this. When you press start new game, that area explodes. Like a huge explosion happens. You see people flying towards the screen and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't beat Dragon Age Inquisition my first playthrough. But so far I've learned that your character pretty much was involved in that explosion because someone's trying to get through the breach or the veil in the Fade. One of the older characters in Dragon Age 2, which is Corypheus, he's trying to get through the Fade. He's trying to get into the Fade to find the Golden City, and that's just a whole bunch of lore shit, and I don't really feel like explaining, but he's trying to get there, and you pretty much, he was about to do something with Andraste, which is their version of Jesus. But she's a woman. But he's about to do something with Andraste, and your character, the Inquisitor, interrupts that they don't explain how yet, but he interrupts it. He doesn't remember how he even got there, or your Inquisitor doesn't remember how they got there. And they find the Inquisitor right there in the middle of the explosion. He walked out of the veil, and a lot of people said that Andraste was like, hey, they saw Andraste push him out, like, to go help everyone. Like they saw him. They think he's sent by the Maker or whatever.
Okay.
So that's where your Inquisitor comes in. And he's not really on the side of the Templars or the mages. He's like, I need to gather people against this. It's pretty much another Blight version against Corypheus. Like, I'm gathering the Inquisition under like some kind of old law. Like we're doing the Inquisition now, and I need to do this to get rid of the breach in the sky and the after effects of the breach and everything of that nature. So I just thought that was really cool, because in the first land you go to is the Red Cliff Hills, and when you're walking around that land and stuff like that, first of all, these areas are fucking huge. Like they took Dragon Age Origins and expanded upon it, but they made the combat of Dragon Age 2 better as well. So this game was really the perfect combination, in my opinion, between Dragon Age Origins and Dragon Age 2. It satisfied both types of people, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, when you're in this land and you're going around doing missions, you will see just random Templar fighting random mages, and it's just crazy how you see all this stuff happening. And they'll both target you. They won't both target you, but they're both enemies too. They're red dots on your screen, but they're still fighting each other. Okay. And you see the land just like, scarred from, like, you see giant ice sculptures because they're using ice magic, and you see fire and stuff like that. And it's just crazy. And then as you do your missions, you see the land slowly calm down and get peaceful because you're doing certain missions that affect certain things. Now that was only exclusive to the Hinterlands, which is the first area. I really didn't see that in the other areas. But I just thought that was really cool. Like I said, like it's like, I think almost 10 areas you can go to, and they're all fucking huge. They're like really big, and it's and the combat is like really fucking cool. Like I said, you can be strategic with it. I'm playing on hard mode, so I have to use the tactical map or the tac camera where it freezes time. You have to use it, and you have to issue commands and things of that nature. But you can also play like an action game as well. So it's, like I said, it's the best of both worlds. And the writing in this game is really cool and really good. And I think that's what I was trying to get back to my earlier point. I went on a tangent there. That's what
we do on this show.
Yeah. I think that's where Mass Effect could have went after Mass Effect 3. Like, we could have seen, like, okay, now that we liberate, depending on what you did with the Krogans, right? Now that you liberated the Krogans, like, is there going to be another Krogan rebellion, and we got to fight the Krogan rebellions? Or did you liberate the Rachni, and now are the Rachni going to go crazy? Like, we could have seen that in the next game, but they just ended that series. That makes no sense.
But dude, I think their problem was, like, they had too many of those major decisions that they would have had to code things for multiple different versions of those decisions in different combinations of those decisions, which I think is why they wanted to wrap it up with the third game.
I see.
Which
Yeah.
makes sense. It would have just been too bloated for them. So I don't know. Well, I mean, you're making this game sound interesting. I like I said last week, I've been considering playing it, so I may start it up soon-ish. Because I've been in a weird mode. I haven't really been playing anything single player for the past like week and a half or so. Basically since I finished Final Fantasy VII Remake. Actually, that's almost like 2 weeks ago. Actually, that is 2 weeks ago now. So yeah, I might give this game a go because it's been in my mind for like a month probably, and I've really been thinking about it. So I might give it a shot.
Yeah, I think you should. I think anyone who likes this genre, the fantasy genre, I think this is a really good take on it. Like I said, I just got into it, so maybe it's all fucking cliche, but I really like it, and I just like how, since I play the games in succession, how that one seed that was planted is actually a full scale game now in the third game.
Yeah.
And I was hoping maybe the next Mass Effect can do something like that. They don't go into they can go into the Andromeda universe. There are a lot of doors unturned in that universe, but they can also stay in this one, because I think the Krogan thing is like a permanent thing. Like I think no matter what you do, even if you do the genophage is still kind of cured, I believe. I think.
Yeah, I mean, they can move time forward like 300 years or something, and do something with that. I'm sure. Or I mean, there was always the thought of a prequel game too. Like the First Contact War.
Yeah,
kind of thing. So there are plenty of ideas that go with. I think Andromeda is like not even remotely tapped in terms of creativity there either, because they showed so little of that galaxy in Andromeda, from what I understand. So I think there's a lot there they could work with as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, yeah, but I can see why, even though I know we said earlier in some of our past episodes that Dragons Inquisition got Game of the Year. They didn't really have any competition. They didn't have any competition, but I can definitely still see why this game got Game of the Year, especially for Dragon Age fans, because I'm a fan now, and it's just Inquisition was like, in my opinion, if I was a fan of the game, they did everything I wanted to do. With what they're doing right now, like how they're handling the story, the characters, and things of that nature. I feel like it's almost the perfect game, to be honest with you, as far as Dragon Age wise. Like what I want out of the Dragon Age game, it's doing it for me. So I'm interested in seeing what kind of improvements they're going to make in the next Dragon Age game, because this one, this is going to be a hard follow up.
Yeah, dude, that's interesting to think about, because we know they're working on Dragon Age 4. I mean, that was announced like a year and a half ago at this point, and I would wager it's a next gen game. Like that feels pretty likely. So they could do a lot with it. They're gonna have a lot of power at their disposal. So you're really, really interested to see that game. That's pretty exciting, actually, thinking about that, because we're like, I'm not gonna say fantasy games are like scarce, but I feel like lately they're kind of not. There just aren't that many of them, particularly like RPGs.
I will say they're not to the production quality of Dragon Age.
Right.
If I wanted to play another game as far as production wise, a Dragon Age, it'll be hard pressed to find.
It's just Witcher. That's it. That's like the only other one I can think of.
That's the only one. Yeah,
honestly, yeah. So it's like in that genre of that level of quality, it's kind of hard to find, I feel like. So that's kind of why it's like almost exciting that I've never played this game. Because it's like a fresh experience, even though it's an old game.
Yeah, I mean, just from the callbacks they do all the way to Origins, like you can tell the dev team really loved Origins, and then they really loved Dragon Age 2 as well. Even though Dragon Age 2, in my opinion, is the weakest one by far. You can actually recreate your character. So what you do, how you make your decisions, is you have to go to the Dragon Keep. I think you mentioned that.
Yeah.
And you put all your decisions in there on the Dragon Keep, and then it crafts the world for you. With Dragon Age 2, it's still kind of current, so you can import your character from from there into Dragon Age Inquisition. The thing is, since it's a different engine, you have to make your character again. So you do have to craft him again, but all your decisions and things of that nature are carried over as well into the Dragon Keep and into Inquisition, which is pretty cool in my opinion. But you do play with your old Dragon Age 2 character. My character was a rogue, and yeah, like it was just really cool how I was playing with my old Hawk character because his name is your first name, then Hawk. So,
okay. Montrell Hawk.
Yeah, so I thought that was really cool. And then they just called the Dragon Age Origins character the hero of Ferelden. He doesn't really have a name, if that makes any sense. Because you can choose from, depending on what race you choose, your last name changes.
Well, so yeah, can't you also be a female in the first game? Yeah. Or is it male only?
You can be a female.
Yeah, okay. So they had to keep it. They had to keep it like, not they couldn't like name the sexuality, so
yeah, I mean you can be a female in Dragon Age 2 as well. Your brother would just be a mage instead of your sister. So
got it. Okay.
So both names are Hawk, and in this game your name is the Inquisitor. Well, you're the Herald of Andraste until the second half of the game, then you become the Inquisitor.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, you meet characters from Origins. They do a lot of callbacks to Origins, and they just do a lot of things. Kind of like what Mass Effect did, but to me, it's like with Mass Effect 2 and 3, they kind of it's hard to explain because Mass Effect 1, they had a lot of stuff in it, and then Mass Effect 2 and 3, they kind of like took away a lot of that stuff, like the clips and stuff like that. Like they didn't really tell you why they did that and stuff like that. Where in this game, the Inquisition, they don't really tell you why they did that. They just say it's much faster to just switch out clips than waiting for the gun to cool off. Where in this game, like they explain why there's different versions of rogues and all this other stuff like that. How time has progressed 10 years and a little bit of fighting styles have changed over the last 10 years and stuff like that. So I mean, it's just a lot of stuff that I thought that was really cool. And then you even see your old enemies, like, you still see Darkspawn pop up here and there. There's still a threat, but like a minor threat. And everything. Like, it's not as big of a deal. Like everyone has moved on and everything, but they still remember the last parts of what happened in Origins. Like Origins was like a really big fucking deal, and they treat it as such. Whereas with Mass Effect 1 and no one really treats Mass Effect 1 as like, yo, this is a huge fucking deal what we just did. And then,
they basically write it out of the second game right away. So
exactly. And then like in 2, right, like no one knows what happened, right? No one knows.
No one references the events, and same thing with 3. No one talks about Mass Effect 1. It's a weird.
Yeah, and no one talks about Mass Effect 2. Like you're going against the same people that helped you in Mass Effect 2. So it's like they kept overwriting themselves in Mass Effect, which I can see why a lot of people. Well, it was a huge debate a while ago. I don't know when, but like, who has the better writing, Dragon Age or Mass Effect? And I was like, of course, Mass Effect. What the fuck are you talking about? But now I'm just like, Dragon Age is way better writing than Mass Effect. Mass Effect, they wrote themselves into a lot of corners they could not get out of. And I think that's why
the decisions were too big of a crutch, I think, in Mass Effect. Like they had to write around those, and that is kind of hard,
Yeah.
I think a game of that ambition is just never going to happen again, with the decision-making kind of thing, because I could see it within one game, but multiple games, like 3 games, that just seems so hard to pull off, to me.
Yeah.
Where you have like the first game having huge ramifications in the third game. There's way too many permutations. And I think that's just really difficult. Like Witcher, I think Witcher does the decision tree stuff a little bit better than most games probably have, but some of the stuff, like by the time you get to Witcher 3, a lot of decisions from the earlier games just give you minor stuff like a side quest, or, like you'll get like a note from a character or something from the first game, things like that. It's just like very, very minor stuff. So
yeah, and they do the same thing in Dragon Age as well. I think they learned, because Mass Effect did come out before Dragon Age, and I think they learned a lot of lessons from Dragon Age. from Mass Effect, because they do the same thing in Dragon Age throughout the series. There are major decisions, but it's like one or two that can affect the gameplay where they don't have to really code that much, if that makes any sense.
Right. Or it's something they can write around,
Exactly. Like the major decision, besides who blew up the chantry, or what happened to that person and things of that nature. It's just a lot of stuff they can write around. They can write off screen, do a side mission here or there for, and everything of that nature. So I think it's pretty cool. I think the next Mass Effect can be like a choice-driven game, but they just have to be conscious of what they're making as that choice, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and I mean, to me, I think there's nothing wrong with them making a single game. Yeah. It's not a trilogy. It's just a Mass Effect game that is self-contained. Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
That's another thing I think Dragon Age did as well. 3 different heroes, 3 different time periods. One was like 10 years ago, one was 5 years ago, and one is current, which is Dragon Age Inquisition. So I'm pretty sure when the next game comes out, you're going to have a different hero. You're going to hear about the Inquisition hero, but you're not going to be that person, which I think Mass Effect also fucked up on. Like, we don't need to play it. Even though I love Shepard, I don't need to play as Shepard 3 different times. I could have played as someone else or a different species of character or something like that,
And that's the way they could do it too. If they want to make a trilogy again, right? You could do that where the first game is one character, the second game is a different character, and the third game is a different character,
Yeah.
You could do that too, because then the decisions have much lower ramifications because it wasn't done by the character you're playing. So
exactly,
you don't even necessarily need to reference them that much. They could just be on the periphery. They don't necessarily have to be things that like hugely affect the world state, So.
Exactly. So I mean, that in conclusion, I don't know. I think Dragon Age is really cool. Like I said, I'm not a big fantasy guy, but I'm definitely a fan of this world. And I'm going to continue to play it.
Word. Okay. Yeah. We're going to move on to the news here in a second. However, I want to bring something up I forgot to talk about last week. So, haircut update. I've been talking about my hair, how it was getting out of control. Well, a week and a half ago, my wife and I went to buzzing it. We got the clippers, we got the clipper guards, we got to buzzing it, and hey, man, it came out good. I look good.
Did she cut it or did you cut it?
We kind of both did. I did parts of it, and she did parts. She did like most of the back and the sides, and I did a lot of the top.
Okay.
And it came out good. I had it pretty much down, like what I was planning on doing in my head, like the guards we were going to use.
Mm-hmm.
And we faded it up in the back pretty well. It looks good, man. It's not like perfect, but my hair, like, whatever. It's not, nobody cares. Like, it's good enough to the point where I'm like, I'm basically never going to a haircut place again.
Really?
Yeah, no, that's where I'm at. That's how, like, it took about 20 minutes and it looked good, like it looks fine. The way I get it done, it's just like, it's not very difficult. I get it really short, and I usually have to fix my bangs anyways after I get a regular haircut. Like, I pay for one, and I had to do that here. So it just like wasn't that hard, so it worked out. So yeah, I'm clean, man. I feel good, unlike other people. Other people look like all crazy and, their hair's out of control. Me and Montrell, we got our shit down. All right. We're clean.
Yeah. I got to actually cut my hair tomorrow. So.
Word. Yeah. I mean, I got a few weeks. So, still feels good. All right. Let's move on to the news. Speaking of Mass Effect, which we were just talking about, there are some rumors. EA had a earnings call, or actually, I think it was an investor call, like plan for the year kind of thing.
Yeah.
Plan for the fiscal year. And they were talking about they got like 14 games in the works. We don't really give a shit about those because like half of them are sports games. But one thing came out of this that obviously piqued our interest, and that is a rumor, or not a rumor, but they confirmed they are working on an HD remaster that is going to be out by the end of March 2021 next year. And VentureBeat was writing about this, and they literally just dropped at the end of the article one sentence that said, hold on, let me find it. Quote, and that HD remaster of an EA game is the Mass Effect trilogy. Just don't expect that to also launch on Switch, at least not at first. They just dropped that casually at the end of the article. So they must have inside information. It makes sense. I mean, EA's got a lot of games they could remaster, but we have been screaming for a remaster of Mass Effect, the Mass Effect
Everyone's
trilogy,
been screaming about
this
that, man.
entire generation, literally from the launch of the PS4 and the Xbox One. So this makes sense. It's almost a little disappointing to me though, because I do want a remake of one, Mass Effect 1. We're not going to get that in the near term.
Yeah.
But when you combine this with the rumor that there's a new Mass Effect game in development, it makes sense. They're going to drop this game either late this year or early next year, I assume, and then they're going to announce the new Mass Effect game probably shortly after that, I would bet.
Yeah, I think this is just to spark interest in Mass Effect, because a lot of people...
Right.
So what's interesting about Mass Effect Andromeda is a lot of people love the combat in that game. We love almost everything in that game. The game looks beautiful. Like, the combat is really good. It's just the writing. That was it. The writing was not good. And I mean, some of the glitches, but that can be fixed. But the writing wasn't good. And I think that part they need to tackle. And I hope with the HD remasters, or the remakes rather. Well, it says an HD remake of an EA game. So what if it is an HD remake of Mass Effect 1?
Well, they said it was an HD remaster
Okay.
at the end of the article. So I'm not sure. The word remaster and remake have been used interchangeably, I feel like, recently for certain other games. And I don't know. We'll have to wait and see until they announce this, I guess. Because, I think some people's definition of a remaster versus a remake is different than what we would classify that as. Like, to me, a remake would be like a ground-up remake,
Yeah,
like
that's where I take
redoing
the
mechanics,
remake is.
using a different engine, like that kind of thing. But some people don't view it that way. So I will have to wait and see until they announce it. I would assume it's going to be a remaster. Like, that would be my assumption.
That would be the safest bet as well.
Because it's 3 games, dude.
Yeah.
But it's exciting nonetheless. I mean, I totally agree with you. I think they would drop this right before an announcement for the new Mass Effect to get Mass Effect A back into people's minds who played it and loved the series, and then B, create new fans based off that hype, and then announce a new game shortly after to just throw the hype train into the stratosphere.
Yeah, because I can't wait for PlayStation fans to play this game, because I know a lot of people who just wouldn't even touch it anymore because it was on Xbox. Right. They don't want to touch it. And even with the trilogy coming out on the PS3, a lot of people still didn't touch it because it came at the tail end of the PS3.
It was right at the end of the generation, dude.
Yeah.
And it didn't come with all the DLC either.
Exactly.
It was a weird release.
I hope this game, when this game does come out, like, a lot of people can just play it. A lot of Sony fans can play it. A lot of even if they said the Switch, a lot of Nintendo fans can play it, and it could really I can get some more fans in this universe, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no. It's good. It makes sense for EA, I think. I mean, yeah, Mass Effect and Dragon Age are BioWare's probably 2 best IPs at the moment.
Yeah.
It's interesting that a Star Wars game is not being made there, but I guess the companies that studio's been in such turmoil. I bet
I wouldn't trust them with the Star Wars.
Right. I would assume EA is probably like, let's see you make a good game first before we give you a Star Wars game. So, okay, yeah. Well, other news. I think this also came out of the same call. We were talking about this last week, but this wasn't official when we were talking about. We were talking about Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, like what we were looking for out of a sequel. It was kind of an impromptu conversation, actually. But it was funny. The same day, or I think the next day, EA basically confirmed that this is a series and there will be multiple games in this series, assumedly a trilogy, rather. I would guess. But I know we talked about what we're looking for out of a sequel. But does it excite you that they want to make a trilogy out of this, or is it kind of a thing like,
no,
thing?
I'm still excited for it. Like I said, I love the main character. I don't think Cal is a bad main character at all.
Yeah.
I like the combat. There's like I said, when we first played the game a couple episodes ago, or a lot of episodes ago, rather, there's things that they can improve upon, and I feel like they're going to improve upon it as well. I just don't want it to become a cash cow game.
Yeah,
because it, like I said, I did read the article and it said it exceeded their expectations. So when the company says that
10 million, dude.
Yeah, and when a company says that, about to milk the fuck out of a game. So
right. Yeah, that is my concern with the next one. I would assume the next one will be bigger. It'll have more budget behind it. It'll probably have more hype behind it, more expectations behind it. But 10 million copies is a lot, dude. And I don't know if a single player game can meet that, from a third party like EA. Like, I just don't know if they're going to be able to replicate that kind of financial success. But we'll see. I mean, it is Star Wars. So, and Respawn, they made a good game. And if they expand on that, and make it even better with the next game, they could pull it off. But I just hope expectations don't get out of control with EA,
Yeah, I have no problem with Respawn. I have faith in Respawn. I just, like you said, with the expectations of EA, I just don't want them to be like, okay, guys, 50 million this time. It's like, no, that's never going to happen with the single player game.
They've done that before. They did it with Dead Space, where they basically killed that franchise because they were like, well, this game to even break even needs to sell like 3 million copies, and it's like a fucking survival horror game. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, and they completely changed the stratosphere of Dead Space 3 because they wanted Dead Space 3 to sell so much. So they made that like a pseudo action game and had multiplayer, and people were just turned off by it.
Well, it had microtransactions too.
Oh yeah, it was egregious microtransactions. I completely forgot about that shit. Yeah, but Dead Space 1 and 2, like, I'm a survival horror game fan, even though I hate horror movies, which is funny. But I love survival horror games. And man, you talk to any survival horror fan, like, they'd be like, Resident Evil, Dead Space. Like, those are the top 2 games because those games are really fucking good.
Yep. Yeah, so, well, we're looking forward to that. I would expect a sequel to this game probably in potentially late next year. I could see one. Like, I know that's only 2 years turnaround time, but I could see them putting that together, personally. But I think at most 2022 would probably be the that's the latest I see the game coming out. So
that's a realistic expectation. What do you think about the Dragon Age game? You think that's another couple? I think maybe a couple of years for that. This game is fucking huge. So
I'm thinking 2022. Like, I could see like early 2022 for that, but I could see anywhere in 2022 for that one. I don't think it's coming out next year. Like, we've seen nothing of this game beyond like a little teaser,
Yeah.
They've not shown any gameplay. They've not talked about it. They haven't spoken about it since they revealed it. And 2022 would be 4 years from the reveal.
Okay. Yeah.
Early 2022 would be about 3.5 years, I guess.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it was revealed in December 2018. So, but presumably they've been working on it for a few months before that. So by the time the game comes out, it'll probably have been 4 years, which should be enough time to make a game. But for BioWare, the games they make, I don't know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, interesting. The Mass Effect game, I wouldn't expect that for a fucking long time. Like, probably
I'm
4 years.
Probably not to the second year or third year into the
the
generation.
Right. All right, let's move on. Next story. This one is you put this in here. Actually, I hadn't heard about this till today. This is huge. Epic announced that Unreal Engine 5 is going to be free for anyone to use and release a game up until their first $1 million in revenue, in gross revenue. That's not profit, but that's pretty crazy. Because from what I remember, I'm pretty sure Unity allows you to use it for free and release a game for free and not have to pay any fees until I think 100,000.
Yeah, it's 100,000.
Which, still a significant amount of money, dude. Like, but a million is huge for someone making a game on their own, or even a small team, making a game. That is a lot of money. So this is a really big deal. But not only that, they're also integrating multiplayer services into this announcement with Unreal Engine 5. So you'll be able to use their basically built-in online tools to make an online game, like a multiplayer game, which that is absolutely nuts, in my opinion. Like, that is like really lowering the barrier of entry.
Huge leap for indie games.
Right.
Like, huge.
You can do so much with that.
Yeah, you can have like a team of 10 people now and be like, hey, this is my budget, and you don't have to expect any coming costs from the engine that you're using, because
yeah,
it's 1 million. Like, and there are some successful indie games that haven't reached 1 million yet, but they're pretty successful.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think this is like this is a new step forward in gaming. I think this is what's the guy named Tim Sterney? Todd Sterney?
You're talking
No,
about
not
the CEO of Epic?
yeah, CEO Epic.
Oh, I can't. Tim Sweeney? Yeah,
Tim Sweeney. There you
Tim
go.
Sweeney. Yep.
I think this is what he was talking about when he wanted to change the landscape of gaming and push it
Well,
forward.
you put this on top of their publishing deals with companies that they have recently made deals with. Like, it seems like they're trying to make game dev way more accessible.
I love it.
And that's great, for people who have thought about doing it. There's almost no barrier to entry now, I feel like. Like, if you want to make a game, go make it, dude. Like, the tools are available to you, Like, it's all there.
Plenty
Like,
of resources out there now.
Yeah, you can use most of these engines for free if you're, not making any money off it. So you can play around all you want, with no cost. And, certain things like making assets and art and stuff like that, that's still going to cost you because most of those softwares are not free. But there's a lot of pre-built assets in Unreal and Unity. And Unity has like an asset store that you can buy assets from. So it's like I'm sure there's a lot of free stuff you can get your hands on to play around with in engines as well. So this is a really cool thing to see. I'm like really excited about it. Like I was like joking before the show. Like I'm just gonna go like download it.
Yeah, I mean, I might do it myself.
I mean, it was free before though, right? Free to download and use.
Yeah, it was free before, but the thing is, like,
but if you released the game though, you had to pay no matter how much money you made, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think this is a huge step in the right direction, and I think this can get a lot of people from up under the publisher cloud. We can start seeing. I mean, I know it's $1 million, but we're probably just going overboard with this, or I am probably, but I think we can start seeing middleware companies come back.
Well, dude, we already are seeing that. I feel like with like THQ Nordic and some of these other publishers, like I feel like that mid space is definitely coming back. But dude, for indies, right? $1 million of revenue in a game is a lot for probably most indies.
Yeah.
That means you sold like if your game costs $20. And that this is gross revenue we're talking, that means you sold 50,000 units. That's a lot for an indie game, unless you have real clout and like actual backing behind you. For some rando releasing a game, most of those games are probably selling like, I don't know, a few thousand copies if they're successful, The bigger ones obviously do a lot better than that, but those are the ones that have marketing behind them and actually have publishers behind them and things like that. Like if you're just on your own, releasing a game on your own, like the chances of you being Stardew Valley are extremely small. So what this means is like you can release a game and sell 5,000 copies at $20 a piece, and you made $100,000, and you don't have to pay Epic anything for that. Like that's huge. So you could literally make a living off of that, and obviously you'd have to pay taxes, but you're not getting like that 5% fee they taken off of it, So I think that's a big deal. Like it just incentivizes people to try, and like you said, even smaller companies like, studios of 5 people or even 10 people, potentially up to 10 people, like that's enough to run a team like that, potentially. So I think we could see a lot more games come out of this than.
Yeah, I think next gen is going to be very interesting as far as middleware and indie. I think the indie space is really going to grow. We may get some trash out of the indie space, but I think we're going to get some.
I mean, we already do get trash.
Game.
Yeah, we already do get trash out of the indie space, though.
Yeah, I think we're going to get some better quality games now because a lot more people are going to have a lot more money to work with if they do. Say if you make a first part of the game, you sell it, and you can use that money to jumpstart your new game or something of that nature. So,
right.
This is a very interesting move, and I'm very interested in seeing what people are going to do with it, because I'm starting to see that a lot of people hate Epic Games, and I know we wasn't necessarily on the hate train for Epic Games, but we were just like
more of an awareness.
Yeah,
more of an awareness thing.
And now I just think the hate's unprecedented. Like, you guys have to accept now that Epic is here to stay. Like, I'm sorry, you have to accept it. I know people are on Steam and they're just like, oh, look, have you noticed that this game's just releasing on Epic? And it's like, you should be going after Steam for not trying to get their games released on that, not Epic. I mean, Epic is making the moves, and Steam is just sitting there. Valve
and
is
as a business, they're doing things to ensure that they have long term, like, you know, that they will exist long term. You know, they want to be the next Valve. Like, that's what it feels like, and they want to be more than Valve. Honestly, that's what it seems like. So they're making moves to do that, and I don't begrudge them that. Like, yeah, I don't know, the Epic Game Store, people still hate it, but it, like you said, it's here to stay, and I am sure eventually it will be a good store. It's going to probably take a lot more time to get there, but it doesn't. I don't know. Like, the boycott's done nothing. You know, boycotting.
How long has Steam been out? Since 2004.
Yeah, I think so. It's a long time.
So it had 16 years to, you know, make itself great.
Right, and that's the irony, is when Steam was first around, you know, those early years, up until about 2010, even later than that, I feel like people fucking hated Steam. Like, it was the same thing we were going through with Epic with Steam, but it was about DRM, because people were like, oh, it forces you into DRM, you know, like, and it's like, now none of us care, like, about that anymore, you know? It's just the way gaming is, like buying games, you know? There's no... Like, we don't own our shit. It just is the reality of the situation, and there's nothing we can do about it. We fought that fight and we lost, you know? And I feel like the same thing's happening with the Epic Game Store right now. It's like, you guys are going to fight that fight and you're going to lose. And eventually you're going to be using the store, you know, to play certain games that you want to play. It's just however long you can personally hold out, you know, which more power to you. But to me, it's like, I don't feel like Epic is bad for the games industry. I think they have a good thing in mind, you know, like, they have good intentions, which is surprising to say for a company as rich as they are. But that's what it seems like. Everything they've done in the last year or so has been very positive, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, because honestly, people are complaining just about the storefront, and then a lot of people are complaining about the launchers and things. I don't know. It's just... I don't know. I think
it just feels petty. It feels petty at this point. They're just like nitpicking to find some reason to hate the Epic Game Store, but you know, they don't, like, Epic doesn't care. Like, they still have Fortnite, dude. Like, they're fine. You know, they got they got a bunch of games that they bought a shitload of studios. They have a bunch of games coming out. They've got cash cows all over the place, you know? So they're not going anywhere. Like, if you have real complaints, yeah, sure, boycott them, but dude, go actually give them feedback, you know, like, find the avenue that gets feedback to the team that develops for the Epic Game Store and give that to them, you know? Yeah. Because I'm sure they want to make a good store. So, all right, let's move on to our next story. So Inside Xbox happened on Thursday last week after we recorded. And it was a 27-minute, I think 44-second video, and I've watched it. And Montreal, did you get a chance to watch it? Check it out.
Yeah, I watched it.
Let's go through. I guess actually I don't want to go through piece by piece, because I just don't think this was like big enough to do that for. But what games, I guess, stood out to you in the video?
The games that really stood out to me was Scarlet Nexus.
Yep.
That game stood out to me. Bloodlines.
Yep.
And Medium. Those games kind of stood out to me.
Bright Memory.
I'm sorry, not Medium. Sorry, Second Extinction. It looked like a Turok game. I thought it was gonna be a Turok game. I was like, oh fuck, yes, Turok's coming back. But
yeah. I'm gonna warn you about that one. That one was made by a company. I forget their name, but they are a branch off studio of Avalanche, and they made this game called oh my god, I'm blanking really hard on it right now, but the last game they made, if you look them up, was not very good. Oh, Generation Zero is what it's called. The game is supposedly a shit pile, so I don't know if because dude, if you look at the trailer, like it
does look very bare bones.
The raptor model is the same. Like, the dinosaur model is the same throughout the entire video. Like, they use the same model multiple times. So I don't know if that game's gonna be good, but
Yeah, I just been looking for another dino shooter, man. I
yeah.
haven't released nothing where you're fighting dinosaurs. I guess Monster Hunter is, but
Yeah, but they're not like strictly dinosaurs, they're
yeah.
like stylized fantasy dinosaurs. So yeah, Bright Memory Infinite looked interesting. It's a first person shooter. It's actually made by one person.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That's the Devil May Cry of shooters. Yeah, that shit was good.
Yeah, but it's first person. So yeah, it looked kind of
Yeah,
interesting though. You had like a sword, but you also have a gun.
yeah.
So yeah, looked kind of cool. Let's see what else was there. I do want to point out Scorn, because that game just is unsettling. Like,
Oh
Jesus
yeah.
Christ. Oh my God. I was literally eating when I was watching it and I wanted to throw up. Like
Really?
it's just it's just disgusting. Like, I know that's the point, but it's like, it's just it's so disturbing, like the aesthetics of it. And
Yeah, it is. I will say, Xbox. Someone did mention this, and I feel the same way. For some reason, when Xbox does I don't know, this, like their version of State of Play or
Mhm.
Direct or whatever, it's never memorable. Like, cause I barely remember anything from it. I forgot this shit even happened until I saw the doc. I'm like,
Dude,
oh shit, I did watch it.
it was like, oh man, yeah. I don't. This was a really tepid like showing. Obviously, they didn't show any first party games, and maybe it's too early for that. But I feel like they should have given us something.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, like a brief glimpse of Halo or one of their other first party games. Because yeah, this was all third party stuff, and a lot of it was just like, it just didn't like have punch to it. And
Yeah.
frankly, most of these games you're going to be able to get on PS5.
Yeah, exactly.
So what are they even showing here? It's not that exciting. And then you had like weird things like the lo-fi like mic for the dude that was talking at the beginning, from Xbox, and it was kind of a weird video. People are obviously bagging on them really hard because the internet hates Xbox, but
I mean, I
um,
feel like this was kind of deserved.
this one was weak though.
Yeah,
This was weak. I think it was better than the PS5 like Cerny thing, but that was because that didn't have any games.
yeah,
So
exactly.
it's like the bar is
What's
not very high there.
what's funny is with that, like with the Epic thing we were just talking about. They released the Epic engine. They showed a gameplay demo of a tech demo rather, and they're like, "Well, this is actually a player playing in a tech demo. Like this is the actual gameplay footage. This is how it will look." And it looked like a CGI movie. But so I saw a couple of tweets and
Well,
like,
that was actually, I think I know what you're talking about. That was the first game I mentioned, the Bright Memory Infinite. I'm pretty sure that's what that was.
oh, okay, so that is the actual game.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. But they yeah, when they showed that, they were like, yeah, look what they can do with Xbox Series X.
okay.
Like,
Well, like, did you see the tech demo that just came out for today for the Epic Unreal 5 engine?
no.
All right, so they released some kind of tech demo for it, and you know how they do a tech demo for like the capabilities of the console or whatever. This is just Epic's version of the engine. Like this is what we can
Yep.
do with our engine, and they were like, this is not. This is someone actually playing the game. This is not like pre-recorded footage or something like that rendered out. This is
Yeah.
someone actually playing a live tech demo, but they didn't name the game, which is a tech demo or whatever. Um, it looked like a actual CGI game. Like it looked like I was watching a movie. Like
Yeah.
So the thing that really got me though, and I talked about this in my group chat, and this has something to do with Xbox. This is where I'm getting with it. So just follow with me. So Jeff Keighley, or that's his name, Jeff Keighley.
Yeah. Oh
Keighley.
yeah, he had a thing today. That's right. I
Yeah.
forget.
So he tweeted out this, and he was like, "Man, this looks awesome. This is like on the PS5." And man, just from him saying that, people were like, "Oh my god, the PS5 is just gonna be fucking amazing." Oh my, what is Xbox doing, bro?
Oh no.
And it
The
was just,
fanboys came out.
oh my. When I say I had to get off Twitter for a couple hours, I had to get
Yeah.
off because people don't understand what a tech demo is, and everyone is just like sucking Sony's dick. And I'm just like, bro, can we please just let off Sony's balls real quick? This has nothing to do with Sony. This is just a tech demo. And yes, it's running on the PS5, but like, I just feel like I know you're like you're a Sony fan. I'm like a Xbox fan or whatever. We're not really fans. Like we just have
Right.
our preferred systems pretty
Right.
much. But like, is it just me or does Sony get like praise for bare minimum? Like,
I mean, they could literally put like a pile of shit in a bag and sell it, and people would be like, "Oh my god, that's the best shit I've ever seen!" Like, there's definitely a Sony like a bias on, particularly with like the online ecosystems. From what I've seen, I mean, we talked about this a lot. Like, I feel like Microsoft and Xbox get like unfairly destroyed for very minor things. Like this one, I can understand the
no, this was
criticism here,
deserved. Yeah, this
but
was
I don't
deserved.
necessarily think this was the worst thing I've ever seen. This is on par with the best state of play that we've seen.
Exactly.
Like at bare minimum, this is probably better than any of the ones we've seen too, in my opinion. So like, it's just, I don't. But that's the thing. Like the state of plays, they've gotten criticized as well. It just doesn't feel like this though. They're getting like absolutely annihilated for this. Like, and
Yeah,
I just feel like it doesn't matter what they do. It does not matter what they do, how much value they cram into the Xbox. They could literally give away the Xbox Series X, and somehow the internet would fucking hate them for it. They'd be
they
like,
can
"Oh
show
god,
off.
it must be a piece of shit then, huh?"
They can show off Final Fantasy VII Part 2 and like exclusive gameplay footage, and the people are like, "Oh
Yeah.
my god, this sucks!" Like,
No, what they would say is, "Well, we know it's going to be on PS5 too." You know, like, so it's like they wouldn't give Microsoft the victory for that. But if Sony showed it, even though it says at the end that it's coming on Xbox, they'd be like, "Oh my god, Sony's so awesome! Oh, these games are crazy!" It's just, yeah,
yeah,
it's a very clear bias.
yeah, I saw that, and I was just like, I don't think people understand what a tech demo is, and
You should have linked me. You should have linked me that tweet, man. I would have fucking.
it was under his tweet. He didn't say it. He just said all he said was like, this is actually it's a tech demo on the PS5, and then like people in the comments were just going like, "Oh my, Sony PS5 is already winning. PS5 forever. Who's buying this? Who's buying the Xbox Series? What? Like, who's buying
Is
this?
it going to be winning? Is it going to be winning when it costs $100 more than the Xbox Series X?
My thing is just Justin. Even if I can understand that they show games for the PS5. We haven't seen any games yet. Like we barely seen games. We haven't even seen the fucking console yet. Like we haven't seen the UI. We haven't seen anything but the fucking controller.
Right.
Even when the controller came out, I know I was on this hype train because I really like the design of the controller. But holy shit, the internet exploded for like a week off that controller.
Yep.
Like Xbox showed a whole goddamn console and everyone's like, looks like a refrigerator.
Just a brick. Oh, let's put it on let's fucking Photoshop it on top of an aircraft carrier because it looks so stupid. Like, yeah. I mean, as funny as that shit is, it's just like at the same time, it's like what, like, yeah. I don't know. I'm sick of it. I'm tired of fanboys. Stop being a fanboy, okay? Just stop. What value do you get out of being a fanboy? Like, what do you like? Sony's not paying you. They don't give you anything. They don't even acknowledge your existence.
Well, my thing is like we need to critique. We need to be critical of things that happen, and so that's why I'm critical of it, so that the company can know what's going on. As a consumer, like if we just blindly praise everything, of course I want Sony to do good and be better than the PS4. I tell everybody I play majority of my games I play on the PS4 because I love single player games. But it's like I want the company to do better, and I'm just not happy or satisfied as a consumer looking forward to their products. I'm not happy the way they're handling the PS5 right now.
Montreal, it's bringing up an interesting point because I feel like we're in a niche of criticism that there aren't a lot of people in, because we don't praise these companies wall to wall. Like we never say they did nothing wrong, like, because that's impossible. Like it's literally never going to happen. Like I don't give a shit how good it is. There's always something they can do better. That is my opinion on things. And so I'm always going to be critical in that way. Like if I see something that isn't good, I'm going to call it out as not good, and there's a few other people that I've started to find on YouTube that have similar viewpoint, and it feels like we're on like an island by ourselves that no one pays attention to. whereas everybody on the mainland is like, they're the dick-sucking fanboys who are like, oh my God, it's the best thing ever, holy shit. It's like, that is not constructive, though. Sony gets nothing out of that. Microsoft gets nothing out of that. Nintendo gets nothing out of that. When we tell Nintendo that Breath of the Wild is the best game ever made, even though it is most definitely not, that is not helpful, because guess what? You're going to get the same shit the next time they make a game if you tell them that, because they're not going to make, like, you say it's perfect. What reason do they have to improve it? Like, there's zero, none. There's no incentive. So we need to be like critical. We need to be critical, respectful, but critical, and praise them when it's deserved. They need to understand what they did well too, right? Like what we think they did well. They need to know that, but at the same time, we can do that while also pointing out flaws and doing it in a constructive way and in a way that they hear and in a way that they'll take and actually use as feedback, and like,
yeah, and I understand the way I word my tweet. Like, it was very fucking egregious. Like, I was like, the way Twitter and the gaming industry sucks Sony's dick or PlayStation's dick for doing the bare minimum was astounding at times. Like, no one talks about it though. But that's how I feel. I feel like I understand.
I don't think that's an incorrect statement.
I don't know. It's just mind-boggling. And here I am bagging on Xbox as well, because this inside Xbox it was forgettable. It was like a lot of their stuff is of their showcases are forgettable. Like, I think 100%. They had one good one that was like kind of memorable, but honestly, I can't remember the last Xbox showcase that was like that made me go crazy like a Sony one did. Or
it was E3 last year, I think. E3 last year? Yeah,
okay.
Strong.
Yeah, that one was really strong. But before that, it was like it was always blah. Like, I'm just gonna wait until Sony or Nintendo Direct comes on or whatever.
Right.
So they need to work on that. But I think us as consumers and the industry as a whole needs to stop blindly praising Sony. Like, I've done it before, you've done it before, we've all done it before, and this company has not proven themselves over the last, like, as far as consumer wise, like, they have not done anything really consumer friendly. They did a couple things here and there, but it's just some random stuff that I'm just looking at like, why are y'all doing this? And no one remembers it.
Yeah,
so, I don't know.
And us being critical of this, like this is my problem. I think the internet lives in these extremes. Like, just because I'm critical of this, or I send a tweet out, right, that's critical of this, this little presentation, doesn't mean that I fucking hate Xbox or that I think they suck or that they're never going to get it right. Like, that's not what that means, but people take it that way, So it's like, you can't, like, this is why I never tweet on Twitter. And I very rarely get into the comments even on Twitter of like threads, because there's just so little nuance. Like, there's almost zero. You send a tweet out and it's just a definitive statement, It's like, it is. So we got to find a better way to communicate this stuff. Like, I just think Twitter is just this hypey, reactionary website where people just give their raw reaction to things without thinking it through. And maybe that's what it's for, but it shouldn't be the main way we communicate online, And I just, it's frustrating. It's definitely frustrating. All right. Enough of that. Let's move on to something actually really interesting. So this happened like a month ago, and I didn't see this till last week, so that's why it's on the news now. So just keep that in mind. So Riot Games acquired Hypixel Studios, and Hypixel Studios, you probably don't know who they are, but they are making a voxel open world game called Hytale, Hytale. And I've been following this game ever since, I was looking into Cube World, because Cube World was so like fascinating to me as a game. And that game flopped on its head so hard that I started looking around for other ones that were similar. And this was the one that I found that looked the most interesting to me. It looked like, actually, it looks really good, in my opinion. But seeing that Riot bought them, this company was created like a couple of years ago in 2018, and they had a bunch of angel investors, but Riot Games was one of those angel investors. So they've been with this company from the beginning in terms of funding. And apparently they just decided that you know what, we believe in this game, we believe in this company, and we're just buying them. And it's just interesting to me because I don't know of any what studios does Riot own? You know of any?
They no, actually. I mean, I know they own some studios, but I'm not really
I
too
guess I
sure
can
what.
look this up.
Yeah, like I know they're trying to acquire studios and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, and they
Let's see.
did buy one studio. I think the studio that made Skullgirls.
Skullgirls, really?
I think so. Don't quote me on that.
They're so funny. Like I'm on their wiki right now, and games developed 2009 League of Legends, 10-year gap 2019 Team Fight Tactics. So funny. They have like 4 games released in the last year too.
Yeah, it continues to make some money.
Yeah, I don't even see a section on here for studios they own. So this might be the first studio they bought, and I know they're trying to expand. Obviously, it seems like they want to get into more publishing and stuff too. Like I think they want to become like one of the mega publishers, similar to like Bethesda or even what Epic's doing right now. Like not necessarily making a game store, but I think they want to become like a publisher in that way as well. So this is interesting. This is kind of their first step into becoming the new Blizzard almost, in my opinion, but in a different way where they're the one acquiring studios instead of being acquired, even though they are owned by Tencent. But still, like I don't know. I'm really intrigued by Riot right now. I think they're going in a really good direction, in my opinion, and I'm kind of excited to see what they can do with all this, you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
okay, that's what it's called. So one of the game companies that they acquired is called Radiant Entertainment.
Yep,
and
I'm
they
seeing that
made
here.
Rising Thunder.
Okay. They actually, so that's the only other one they own.
Yeah.
It's them and Hypixel. And when did they acquire Radiant Entertainment?
I'm not too sure, but I know
March 2016, actually.
Oh, really? Damn.
Yeah, so 2 years or 4 years ago.
Okay. So yeah, they've been working on their Project L game, which is their fighting game for League of Legends, with League of Legends champions in it.
Understood. So then that means Hypixel would be the first studio under them not working on a League of Legends property.
Probably, yeah.
Right? That's interesting. So that's why this is notable though, because they're kind of expanding they're kind of like, you know, expanding themselves a little bit in terms of the breadth of their catalog, I guess. So interesting. It's fascinating. I'll be interested to see what they do from here. I mean, seeing them, there are definitely other studios they could acquire that I think would make sense for them. But I don't know what they would do with them, you know? Like, I don't know if they want to be a studio. Like, it almost feels like they kind of need to diversify away from League, you know? That has been such a heavy thing for them in terms of their IP. Like, that brand is huge and it's massive. It's a juggernaut, but they can't, like, survive off that forever or even grow off of that forever. You know?
Yeah, I think they're just using it as a stepping stone to branch out into other genres, if that makes any sense. And then they want to like tackle like new IPs and things of that nature.
Right. Like fighting game, card game. You know, Valorant is its own thing. So they're
Valorant is a brand new IP. So like that's not even using League of Legends characters at all. And I think that's just Valorant is a good example of a game that's just being carried. I mean, it's a good game, don't get me wrong, but it's actually carried off the name of who's associated with. So people associate Riot Games, League of Legends. So some people say, hey, have you played this League of Legends first party or first person shooter? I've seen that on Twitter. I've seen that in various things and things of that nature. Whereas this is a totally different, this is not even part of the League world, the Legends of Runeterra, League of Legends world at all. So I think they're just using it as a stepping stone. I think it's a good stepping stone, a good platform. I think as far as Riot, I think they may become that next Blizzard, like you said. I don't think they're going to become a major publisher, but I think they're going to become like the major PC dominant person. How Blizzard, how Blizzard was that PC developer.
Dude, they're already there, man. They have 2,500 employees as of 2018. That's crazy, man. 24 different offices around the world. Like that's huge.
And just imagine if they start making like darkish type games. Like, what if they make a dark? I know they are working on a Diablo style game, but the gameplay they showed looked like very lighthearted ARPG. Like, what if they make a dark one that kind of rivals Diablo? They can eat into that fan base. Like, that's going to be very heavy on Blizzard. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah. I mean,
So
they've been hemorrhaging fans for a while.
yeah,
I still
and
think there's a lot more for the taking, though.
I think Valorant is actually breaking into that Overwatch thing because this
Yeah,
game is way
yeah.
more competitive and gets way more views
I mean, dude, I
on.
think Overwatch is dead.
Yeah,
Personally, I think Overwatch is dead. Like, because yeah, Valorant's like really taking off right now.
yeah, and
Um,
I think it's only gonna get like a lot of pros love that game, and
well,
I think it's only gonna get better.
Montreal, one thing that will make me fall for Riot fully, I think, is if they made an RTS.
Mm. I
Like
think they
that's
can
right in
make an
their
RTS.
that's right in their wheelhouse. You know,
Yeah, I was gonna say I think they can make an RTS with this world,
I
or
think they can
even
make a great RTS with the League of Legends IP. I think they could. Would they want to? Would it be monetizable? Would it make money? I don't know about all that, but
yeah.
man, they want to win somebody like me over.
I
Make an
think a lot of
RTS.
games. I think like Command and Conquer,
Yeah.
and even to a certain extent the Warcraft 3 Reforged. I think a lot of companies are looking at that and they're seeing how much interest is in those two games, especially Warcraft 3 Reforged. A lot of people bought that game, even though it was a disaster. A
Yeah.
lot of people bought that game because they just wanted that RTS craving. It's almost like the CRPG thing, right? How we still had a lot of CRPGs coming back because
Yeah.
we weren't there for a while. I think like RTSs are coming back.
I just
I
don't
was an
think.
RT.
Yeah.
You said
Keep going.
because I was a huge RTS fan, and I just want a very a story-driven RTS and a multiplayer RTS because I
Yep.
played Halo Wars RTS competitively. Like I was like on the top leaderboards on Halo Wars because I love that fucking game. Um, but like StarCraft, that was really big for me as far as like story-wise and just being RTS. I love that. I love the Age of Empires and everything of that nature. So I feel like you're right. League of Legends RTS, if it has a good campaign, and like I mean, of course, the multiplayer, I don't know how you can monetize that, but like just a really good campaign, I
Oh,
think that
dude.
can sell a
Look,
million copies easily.
you can do cosmetic microtransactions in an RTS. It's a little more difficult because the units need to be readable in
Yeah,
an RTS, and you can't go too crazy with the cosmetics, but I think it's still doable personally.
yeah,
And I just think like the world they have, like the lore. Now that I'm kind of getting into it with Legends of Runeterra, like there's plenty there to work with in terms of like making an RTS story, you know.
yeah,
And then you can even make a Warcraft 3 style RTS with like hero units and stuff. Like they could totally do that. Like they have everything there to do it. They just kind of have to do that.
yeah,
So that's I don't know. Like it's like a kind of a Hail Mary hope of mine. Because I don't think anybody else is like going to make something interesting like that. But in terms of the RTS genre, I think Command and Conquer, the remaster coming out for that is going to be kind of the next real litmus test to see how kind of interested people are in the genre. I think because Command and Conquer is a big IP in the
yeah.
RTS realm, and if that sells well, and from what I know, the Age of Empires remake or remaster, Age of Empires HD is actually growing in its player base.
Really?
And that, yeah, and it's got like a vibrant online community, which is absolutely crazy. But it's yeah, so I don't think the genre is dead by any means. I think if somebody makes a good RTS, they can make money off of it. I think Blizzard's not that company because they're stupid and think, you know, Warcraft 3 can get pooped out and it's okay. You know.
That's so sad.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I still go on that Reddit every once in a while, every like 3 weeks or so, just to see if a patch dropped. And like, there'll be a patch, and it's just like the most pathetic thing you've ever seen. It's like, yeah, they're still fixing animations, they're still fixing art and colors, and like such basic nonsense. Ladder's still not released. Like, it's been 5 months or 4 months, 4.5 months. Like, well, like what the fuck, man? You know? I don't know. Don't get me started. Let's move on
Yeah.
before I go on a rant. All right. More IP stuff. This one was weird. I've never seen this as far as I know, in terms of like ever since I started paying attention to the game industry. So THQ Nordic and Koch Media, KOCH Media, have traded some IPs in a deal, straight
Like
up,
Pokemon cards?
or like a sports trade almost, you know, like. So here are the terms of the deal. I mean, this is, it gets weirder though, because they're both owned by the same company. They're owned by Embracer Group. So THQ Nordic gives up Red Faction and Painkiller IPs to Koch Media for Risen, Sacred, and Rush for Berlin, Second Sight, and Singles Flirt Up Your Life. In return, obviously a few of those are bigger than others. Red Faction is probably the biggest one amongst those, but apparently that's actually getting it closer to its origins. Red Faction was originally developed by Volition, who are owned by Koch Media's publishing division, Deep Silver. So that's interesting. And then Risen, going to THQ Nordic, is now owned by the company that owns the original developer of Risen, Piranha Bytes. So I would imagine you're going to see some movement on these pretty soon. I would have, like, THQ Nordic said they're already evaluating remasters and new content, new games potentially in some of these IPs that they acquired.
Yeah.
So very interesting stuff. The fact that it was all under the same umbrella probably made it possible that this would happen. I can't see this happening between like EA and like Activision, you know, without some money being involved. But it's kind of a funny precedent because it really just looks like a sports trade to me.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I haven't heard. I haven't heard from the Red Faction franchise in fucking forever. Holy shit!
Yeah, but dude, that was huge. It was a huge shooter franchise. Risen and Sacred are pretty big too. They're both, I think they're both like third-person action RPG series, if I'm remembering correctly. The other ones I don't know. Painkiller, I don't know what that is. Rush for Berlin, no idea. And the other two, I don't know what those are either. But yeah, interesting stuff. THQ Nordic is always surrounded with these weird transactions. I feel like buying strange IPs that nobody cares about, and trading IPs with another company. Like, how did this conversation even start? Like, they called up Koch Media and they're like, hey man, we want some of your IPs. We got a few that we don't want anymore. Can we make something happen? Like, it's like me trading my fantasy league or something. It just sounds really funny to me.
Yeah, they have some very interesting IPs. Like,
they do.
If they put effort into them, they'll be like some of the best games ever. They actually, because the idea and the concepts behind some of the IPs are just really fucking cool.
They have the Amalur IP.
Really?
They can't release the original game in any way. EA still owns the publishing rights to that, but they can make new games in that franchise though. So
yeah, I love that game. That game's really cool.
They also own Titan Quest, which they have been making new expansions for. It's like a fucking 13-year-old ARPG. They've released like 3 new expansions for that game since they acquired it. It's super weird. So they have a lot of interesting IPs. They have Time Splitters too, I think, as well. Darksiders they own. They're a weird company. Like, we were talking about middleware earlier. They're actually who I think of when I'm thinking of middleware currently.
Okay.
Like, I kind of think THQ Nordic kind of is that middleware company.
Yeah.
So, which is funny because THQ, back before they went bankrupt, was kind of a middleware company too. So interesting. But I think it's a lot more. I think it might actually be more viable currently than it was like 5 years ago. To be that kind of company. I think development costs are going to go down probably in this next generation because it'll be easier to make games, given the power of the devices, and what you can kind of pull off. So putting together like a good-looking game that's like not too complicated probably isn't going to take nearly as long as it does now.
Yeah, you're right. A lot of stuff was in its infancy stage as far as like next gen wise in the 360 and PS3 generation. Didn't really get cheaper in the current generation, towards the tail end, though, it started getting cheaper. So that's pretty cool.
Right. All right, next story. This one's fucking crazy, actually. So, Sony. So, a guy on Twitter named Daniel Ahmad tweeted out. Well, actually, yeah, he tweeted a translation of a PlayStation tweet that was in Chinese. That I'm just gonna read it here. Quote: The PlayStation Store (PSN) has been temporarily suspended in mainland China from 7 a.m. on May 10th. No time or date given for resumption of services. The official reason given is to carry out security upgrades, but it is unclear what this means exactly. Yeah, and then after this, somebody claimed that this was because backdoor elements that were easily accessible were exploited, and it's basically a security breach, and they basically had to shut it down. Sony actually did comment on this. They declined to comment on the backdoor hacks, but they said some. Hold on a second. No, they didn't. They declined to comment on the backdoor hacks. Actually, they didn't comment. They didn't deny it. So, who knows? What do you take out of this? Like, what do you think is real here? Because this is kind of wild, dude. This is like, this is like almost like the PSN hack from like 10 years ago.
Yeah. On one end, I do believe China because PSN hack a couple of years ago, about a decade ago that happened.
Yeah.
Where they shut down PSN for about 2 weeks, I believe. I
think it was 10 years ago, like right around now, like 10 years ago. It was like April, May, dude. Yeah, that's crazy. 10 years.
Yeah, that's funny. You're right. You're right. Because I remember it being kind of hot. So, yeah. So that makes sense. But on the other end, China. China could be, they are very strict with their internet rules and things of that nature in terms of service. So it could be just that. So I honestly don't know who to believe.
Well, one more thing, actually, on Reuters, they said that, quote, some vendors were offering to crack the restrictions on the PlayStation Store in China for a fee of less than $5 on e-commerce platforms, end quote. Holy shit. Oh, man. So I kind of think this is real.
Maybe I'm stupid. Explain what they're trying to say there.
Basically, they were offering to crack the restrictions on the PlayStation Store, meaning you could download like free games. Yeah, I think that's what was happening because I think people were getting free games, which is why they took it down. So, yeah, wow. That's nuts, dude. That's crazy. So this might actually be real, and that's crazy for Sony. That's their network, dude, is such a shit show. Like.
That's one thing they need to do going to the next generation. They need to do a total rehaul.
But they're not going to. I don't think they're going to. I just don't think they're going to, because the fact that it's still integrated with the current PlayStation networks indicates that it's going to be the same, like.
And no one talks about it. This is what I'm talking about right here. No one talks about this.
Right. Microsoft has like an ironclad network, dude. Like ironclad. Like, yeah, sure, they've been DDoS attacked before, but plenty of companies fall victim to that. Sony's fallen victim to it too, But like in comparison though, like there's no throttling on Xbox. I feel like that happens on like PSN. Like it's just, I don't know. Like PSN's an embarrassment to me. Like it's one of Sony's like biggest failures. And they've improved it over the years, but
they have. It has significantly improved over the years.
But it's still not good, though. It's still not good.
The whole name changing thing is just wild to me.
What a disaster! What? Like, just to remind people, they literally keep a copy of your prior name so that you don't lose access to all your shit because it's that broken. Like. Come on, like what are we doing, man?
They hard coded your name to the thing. So, like Microsoft uses an alias or whatever. Just a brief explanation to move on. Microsoft uses they use the alias. So, say like you sign up with Bob at gmail.com, but your name is Bob Xforcer 223 or whatever the fuck. Like that's just your
yeah.
That's just your alias, and you can change that, but your primary email will still say the same. Actually, on my, I just changed my primary email, and I didn't have any issues.
Right, dude.
So,
Yeah, do that on
like,
PSN. Your account won't work.
yeah, if you do that on PSN, like it's hard coded, like it's in their code to where everything is linked to that one email and that
Actually, I
name.
think you can change your email. I did this a few years ago.
Okay, so you can't change
Yeah,
your
but you
email.
can't change. You couldn't
You
change
can't.
the name though,
Yeah,
because the
you can't.
name, your PSN name, was hard coded into everything the PSN did. That included games. So if there were leaderboards, online games, it's hard coded. So if you changed it, that means all those games would break. Like their multiplayer would break, your stats would break, your leaderboard like statistics would break, some of your trophies would break. You know, it's just some of your DLC wouldn't be accessible. You know, like if you were playing, like, I don't know, like maybe this is a bad example because I Destiny might work, but like Destiny, you know, maybe you bought DLC. Well, guess what? Your account name in Destiny is your PSN name. So
I've heard, I don't know if this is true, but I've heard stories of people losing access to their PS4 in general. Like they couldn't play their
oh my
PS4
god,
anymore because it wasn't the home console or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
So
I mean,
is
they literally said they couldn't guarantee that every game would work, and they almost were like warning you against doing it. You know?
it was just demanded so highly though. Like the demand had changed. People had names there for, like, my name on there is still Trail Mix 223, and I made that shit like 20 years ago, maybe like
12
10,
years ago,
12 years ago, and it's just
13 years
like
ago.
I like my name has changed, and that's the personality I had then is not the same now, so it doesn't reflect my, just little stuff like that. I mean, it's not a huge deal to some people, but I don't know. I just wanted to I changed my Xbox name. Like I don't know. It's just weird. But anyway,
Well,
we need to get this shit together.
we'll monitor this and see what happens whenever it comes back up. All right, let's move on. We got a couple E3 announcements. So Ubisoft said they're going to be doing an E3 style digital showcase called Ubisoft Forward on July 12th. So
Can't wait to see some more
Assassin's Creed, non-gameplay video, even though it'll be called gameplay.
Did they say they were going to show gameplay video on the Xbox?
Yeah, I forgot to bring that up when we were talking about that. Yeah, that whole thing was like a gameplay presentation, and there was like no gameplay on like any of the games they showed, including Assassin's Creed, which they used to sell people on watching the stupid video. Like Assassin's Creed didn't have any gameplay at all. It was, it was supposedly in engine, but who cares? Like it was a cinematic, like whatever. Yeah, so Ubisoft's gonna have a thing July 12th. Square Enix announced that they are not going to be having a digital event anytime around when E3 would normally happen. They said they are going to be individually showcasing games that are coming out this year in the future. They also cited COVID basically as an excuse. Well, I guess not as an excuse, but as a reason why they can't do this, because they're not going to be able to get the assets ready to showcase in time.
Okay, that makes sense.
When E3 would be happening. So yeah, I'm sure they'll have something in the future for games that they're planning on having releasing this year, but they'll probably be, in individual announcements with trailers and press releases and whatnot. So we'll announce more of those as we find them out. All right. Last big story for the news this week was about Dying Light 2. So this game has been a highly anticipated game of mine for quite a while. It was announced, I don't know, 3 years ago at this point, 2 or 3 years ago. And it was actually announced on Square Enix's, I think, stream, one of their streams at E3 a few years ago. And this game has gone through, it seems like it's in development hell because it has been delayed multiple times. It was originally supposed to come out, I believe, last year. And then it got pushed to this year, and then COVID happened, and now it's being pushed indefinitely. Basically, no idea when this game is coming out. And there was a Polish website wrote an article about this game, saying that there was a lot of things going on behind the scenes that were causing issues for the development of this game. So there were supposedly some communication issues with the narrative lead, Chris Avallone, who actually is a very, very accomplished writer within the games industry. Then also lack of a clear direction for the game, which this late in development seems crazy.
Wait,
And
what? I thought the game was already done.
then the uncertainty over whether or not the team had been bought by Microsoft. However, the senior PR manager at Techland, Ola Sondej, I believe is how you would say that, tweeted out, this was last week, quote, in case you guys wondered, Techland was not acquired by another publisher. We're still an independent studio and will deliver Dying Light 2 on PC, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4. And then she followed this tweet up refuting the article, basically saying it was completely inaccurate. Well, I'll believe, so part of this, what this kind of where my head at it is with this. I believe the Microsoft part is not true. Obviously, they wouldn't come out and say that if that were true, because that would be fucking awkward as shit. So I would assume they are still indeed independent. Maybe they're in talks with somebody to get purchased. Who knows? The other stuff, the lack of a direction, the communication issues with the narrative lead, and some of the other internal struggles, I kind of believe somewhat. Maybe they're not all true in the way they're being said here, but it seems obvious that this game is having problems because of how often it's been delayed, how little we've seen of it, and how, like, when they do talk about it, it feels like they're saying the same things that they've said before. You know, they're not like revealing anything new about the game.
Yeah.
So I think it's clear this game is basically in dev hell, and it's ironic because Techland is the company that originally made Dead Island, and then they broke off to make, well, they started making Dead Island 2, and then they broke off to make Dying Light. But Dead Island 2 has been in development hell ever since Techland got off of it, and now Techland's second game is in development hell. So it's really weird and interesting. Disappointing too, because I'm really excited about this game, you know?
Yeah, I know you're looking forward to it. I like the first one a lot too.
Right.
And I was looking forward to playing the second one with you. And then my brother, he actually loves Dying Light. I didn't know this until just recently.
Dude, yeah. It's good, man. My brother too. I played a co-op with him all the way through. Like, it was super fun.
Yeah. So this is very disappointing to hear because I'm really interested in this franchise as well. I did not know that they made not Dying Light, but Dead Island, which I fucking hated.
Yeah, well, it's the same style of game. Like, they just made a good version of it with Dying Light, right?
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, it's the history's funny, and it's interesting that the same thing's happening now with the second game. So
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, what they've shown of the second game looks so good, though. It's just like, man, So I don't know. I hope we get it, but I don't think we're getting it this year. I think it's really unlikely we'll get it before the end of the year, which starts to throw things into question, though, because, dude, if the new consoles come out this year, is this game going to release on PS4 and Xbox One in, like, fucking March next year? You know? How weird is that? That seems like almost like you're killing the game, you know?
Yeah, because then they're going to have to make, like, a remastered version for the newer consoles.
Or, yeah, like a upscale patch or something like that.
Yeah.
And, you know, so I don't know. This game's in trouble. That much seems clear. Whether this specific article is not true or not, I still think it's obvious that this game is having some serious problems. So, all right, let's move on to some announcements, game announcements, rumors, and whatnot. So, Civilization 6. I've not talked about this game very much on the podcast. I have a sincere disdain for Firaxis, the company that makes Civilization. And they have announced a new thing called the Frontier Pass, which is basically going to be a season pass for the next calendar year that they are going to be releasing new civilizations, game modes, leaders, city-states, natural wonders, all sorts of shit into the game. However, it's $40, and I can't with these guys. They are milking Civilization for all it's fucking worth. The game's had 2 expansions, but it had a myriad of small minor Civilization DLCs adding new civs to the game, and now they're doing it again with this Frontier Pass. I just can't. Like, this game, to buy all the content at base price costs like fucking $200, you know?
What?
Yeah, obviously you can get a lot of the shit on sale nowadays because the game is so old, but still, I don't think you're getting all this for less than $60, particularly with this Frontier Pass, probably $60, $70, $80 even, I'd say at this point, even if you're finding all 3 games, the game plus 2 expansions and all the Civ DLC that's already out on deep, deep discount. They're just milking Civilization for all it's worth, and they've done it since Civ 5, and I'm just so disappointed in this. Like, you're putting dev time into this when you could literally be making another fucking expansion, you know? The expansions cost $40, you know? And this is going to take them a year to make all this shit, to release all these? Make a new expansion. What are you doing? You know, like, fucking come on, man. It's just so frustrating because Civilization...
I've heard you. So, what is Civilization? Like, is it a RTS or is
no?
it like
It's a
sim?
4X. It's a 4X strategy game. 4X being so the X's stand for explore, expand, exploit, exterminate. Those are the four X's in the 4X genre. And they are 4X games are strategy games. They're always turn based generally.
Okay.
So, and it's like a, you know, isometric view. And this game is like a hex-based game. You're basically building your civilization from scratch from 4000 BC all the way to the current day and even slightly into the future. And you're going through the history of humanity from that point in time and building a civilization from that point in time. The game has huge appeal because of that structure.
Okay.
And Firaxis is obviously the one, you know, they've like Civilization is a huge franchise on PC, like massive, absolutely huge. And justifiably so. It's great. It is great. Even Civ 6 is a good game. It's a really good game. But Firaxis, the way they've handled this game and the series for the last 10 years has just been so frustrating. Like, they, design-wise, these games have been simplified somewhat. I feel like Civ 5 was a super stripped-down version of the game compared to Civ 4, and I really disliked that game. And Civ 6 was actually, they added a lot more complexity back onto the game, and it was a lot better. But AI has been an issue for this game since Civ 5. I mean, honestly, even further back than that. But it was acceptable in Civ 4 because the AI was actually challenging. Whereas in Civ 5 and 6, the AI just sucks. They're so bad at the game, dude, that the game isn't even like fun for the most part. And that's why I haven't played it in a long time, basically since it came out. Because I played 1 or 2 games and I just steamrolled, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just not fun when that happens. Like, the AI can't even put up a fight, you know? And all the DLC they've released, like up to a certain point, I accept it, you know, with the, you know, I don't mind like a $5 Civ pack here and there, you know, where you add like a new civilization or 2 for $5. Like, that's actually not a bad deal because the Civs give you a lot more to work with. But even honestly, if I'm being honest with myself, though, they should cost more like $2 probably.
Okay.
You know, it's probably the equivalent to adding a new character in a MOBA, you know? And honestly, that's not even that, in certain cases, it's not even that complex. So, but you know, in MOBAs, those characters, like in League, like a new character costs like what, $6, $7, some of them, maybe even 10, depending on who it is, like what character.
I think the average is about $10.
Yeah. So it's not that bad, $5, whatever. But this is like, you're announcing this a year out now. And to me, like I said earlier, just make an expansion.
Yeah, that's a huge gamble too. Like, the virus is right now. This is a weird announcement. I wouldn't have made this announcement, honestly.
It's super weird. This is the weirdest thing. It's like a season pass for a game that's been out for 4 years. Like, what?
This game's been out for 4 years?
Oh, 3.5. Yeah. No. Yeah, 3.5. It came out in 2016 in October of 2016.
Fuck?
So yeah, 3.5 years. It'll be 4 years in October.
Did it just get released for console like maybe last year?
Yes.
Okay.
November.
Okay, that's probably why it's like fresh in my mind.
Yeah. Okay. That might actually be part of why they're doing this too. But maybe they see the player retention is really high and they think they can milk this game a little bit more. Because usually Civilization games only get 2 expansions. That's usually been the way they've done it up to this point. But Civ 6 seems like it has some more legs to it, in my opinion. But
I've been seeing a lot of people, particularly on the Switch, playing this game. So,
dude, it's super fun. It's a great game. But
yeah,
I hate how much they try to milk it, dude. It's so frustrating. Like, it's one of those games on Steam that has like so much DLC that you have to like expand the window to see it all. Like, it's one of those games, and it's like, it's a Civilization, man. You know, like, fuck, dude. Like, it's one of the greatest PC franchises of all time, and it's like, and yeah, Firaxis, not a fan of these guys, because even when I was playing Civ 6, me and a friend, actually me and two other friends, constantly wanted to play these games together. And another reason I didn't play Civ 6 for a long time is because we couldn't play together because one of our friends was on a Mac. And there was no Mac. The Mac version of the game didn't come out for a while. And then even then, it needed to be on version parity with PC in order to play cross-platform. And the company that was doing the cross-platform didn't release cross-platform for over a year. Actually, I think it was a year and a half after the fucking game came out. So we couldn't play together. And Firaxis, they said that Firaxis was holding them up. Like, they needed Firaxis to help them in order to finish cross-platform. And it took forever for that to happen. Like, and it's like Firaxis just didn't give a shit about that audience, like that section of their audience. And it's just so frustrating to me. So I'm just like, I don't know. These guys are, they've done a bad job with these games. And I know if you go on the internet and you read about Civilization, it's going to get undue praise. All you're going to see is praise, 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 praise. But if you go deep and you really go deep.
I was going to say, I heard the complete opposite. I remember when this game first released, and this was when I was still like a degenerate on 4chan. Mm-hmm. And V was talking about, because they're mainly PC gamers on V, they were talking about this game. First, they were like looking forward to the game. And then the game came out, and people were just like, this game's absolute ass. I can't believe they released this game.
Yeah. Yeah, it was probably because of the AI. The AI sucks. Like, the game is fine from a design perspective, but yeah, the AI just like completely takes the fun out of it because they're not even remotely a challenge. It's like they're not even there half the time, you know? That's how it was at first. And I have gone back from time to time and done research into this game to see if it's gotten better. And it's gotten marginally better, but people still say the AI sucks. Like, and this is 3.5 years after the fucking game came out. This is a single-player game, primarily. Like, it has multiplayer, but this game is developed as a single-player game, which means the AI being so bad is inexcusable to me. Like, inexcusable. And that they've done very little about it and don't invest in it. And then they announce shit like this that are like, here, spend more money on this fucking game. Like, what? Like,
maybe
no.
They don't want to make it too hard. Do they have AI level difficulties?
Yes.
Like hard?
There's like 10 of them. And they're all bad. Like, the ones that are higher, the harder ones, the game just cheats. There's no, like, they don't get smarter. They're given extra resources at the beginning of the game. They get 3 settlers when you get 1, you know, at the beginning of the game. They're given a shitload of resources. They get like 2-3 times production you do for no reason.
Really?
You know? Yeah, they just cheat. That's how they make the game more difficult. They don't make the AI smarter. They don't make it change tactics. They do none of that. It's literally a flat buff bonus that the AI gets, and that's the difficulty curve in Civilization. It's fucking trash. Like, total trash. And it ruins the game. It sucks. It's like so annoying to me, man.
Yeah, I can see that, because I'm even though it's not the same type of game, it is a strategy game. Like, I'm thinking about StarCraft, and I used to play against the AI in there, and the AI was pretty decent, but if they just started off with 10 fucking gather workers, and I just had 5, like, that makes a huge difference.
Yeah,
like,
right. But that's how bad the AI is. They need that kind of compensation in order to keep up with human players. Like, that's how bad they are in Civ 6. Like, they need that. It's like, that's insane. Crazy. You know, so it's trash, dude. Like, I know I'm getting really fired up here, but I love this series, and it sucks that this is what's happening to it. Like, put this money into something valuable, like into an expansion, into making the AI better, into making sure you have cross-platform play enabled for your multiplayer players, you know? Like, do that, you know? Fucking stop with this shit. Like, look, these civs sound great. You know what? I'm a degenerate enough. Whenever I go back to play this game in like 2 years, I'm probably going to buy them all. But It's just I don't know. I have refused to buy the second expansion because I just do not want to support the studio. I'm not gonna buy it either until I see it for less than $5. Because I'm not giving them 30. I'm not doing it. I'm not paying full price for it. I refuse because they don't care about me. So why should I give them money?
You're right. I mean,
and it's frustrating because I
I
have friends I want to play with, but I refuse. I refuse to do it. Absolutely refuse.
This franchise has always been interesting to me because I've always seen my impressions from it was from 4chan V. So I mean, I know there are a bunch of degenerates and a lot of people over exaggerate how bad a game is and everything of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
But it's always been painted I love this game, kind of like how you are right now. I love this game, but holy fucking shit, it pisses me off.
Yeah.
And that's just always the impression I got from the game.
Yep.
When I look at it and everything of that nature. So, it's interesting. I might actually just look into the game and play it myself. I don't know.
Yeah, but if you can get it cheap, it's a great deal. If you can get the whole thing for $20, it's a great deal. It's a ton of content. Probably worth it, dude. Particularly for a new player, if you've never played before, the game is going to be hard because you just don't understand how anything works. But when you get good at it and you understand the systems, it's just so easy. It becomes you're literally sitting there, end turn, end turn, end turn, end turn, and you just win, because you know what to do, It's you don't even have to do anything because you know what buildings to build. You know what research to get. You know what districts to build. You know where to build your cities. You know how to build your civilization. It's just the game becomes boring. And yeah. But if the AI was smarter and better, it would be more fun. But that's why I play multiplayer, because my friends are we have it. It's challenging when we play together, obviously, because we don't play as a team. We like playing against each other. So it's a lot more fun that way for obvious reasons, because the challenge is there. So the game is the integrity of the game is there,
Yeah.
So it's but I can't recommend this to people. I can't, because Firaxis is so greedy and they care so little about their player base from my perspective. Yeah. So, okay. Enough of that. Let's move on to more stuff, more announcements. This was fucking random. This one. So this is on PlayStation Blog. This was announced on let's see, May 12th, yesterday, Tuesday. So Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 are getting remakes, and they're coming out. Actually, they didn't give it a release date, but they're going to be $40 as one game. And they showed screenshots, and I actually think there's a gameplay trailer too.
There's a gameplay trailer.
Yeah, and it's like a full-on remake, dude. They're remaking these games.
Yeah, this game looks fucking awesome. First of all, I am a huge Tony Hawk Pro Skater fan. I love
this is gonna sell like crazy. Also, I was thinking about it earlier when I was putting the story in the thing. I was like, is Montrell a Tony Hawk fan? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So when they announced these games, I was going fucking ape shit in my bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
When I woke up and I saw it. So I'm really, really excited about it. What's interesting about this game is it goes back to my last conversation. So this game is getting released on Xbox, PlayStation 4, and PC, but Epic Game Store only. It didn't say Steam. And people are fucking I guess I'm buying a PS4 then. What the fuck?
Oh my god, dude. The derangement. Oh my god. You hate Epic Game Store so much that you're going to spend $250 just to buy a PlayStation, so you can't give Epic your money. Oh my god, dude. It's fucking wild.
Yeah, it was fucking hilarious that I saw that. I'm like, out of all the things to be praising this shit, you're mad. And it was from a popular Twitter person. He's on the same level as Nabelion and those people who get insider information from people and then tweet it out.
Yeah.
So he tweeted that out, and it got 200,000 or 2,000 likes and whatever. But it was some people under the comments that were actually so you're not going to buy the game because it's on a different launcher. It was a lot of people saying that, and And a lot of other people were like, well, yeah, I'm with you. I'm just gonna buy it on console because what the fuck? Like, I'm not gonna play this on. And then some people were like, I don't even have a console. All I have is a Switch, and I guess I'm just not playing the game. And I'm like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like, you have the console or the platform to play it, but because it's not on the launcher you want it on, which is free to download, by the way, guys. Like the Epic Game Store, you don't have to pay into it to buy it. Like, you don't have to pay into it to download it.
Right.
It's a free launcher. I mean, I hate launchers myself, but fuck it. Like, if I gotta download Origins to play fucking Apex Legends, I fucking
8 of them already. Whatever. What's a 9th?
Exactly. Exactly. So if I gotta download Origins to play Apex Legends, I'm just gonna fucking do it. Like, it's whatever. It's not gonna affect my computer. I mean, sometimes they do, but whatever. But
yeah, all right.
Yeah, it's just not a huge deal. What we're trying to say for, like, you know, people who don't play on PC, this is not a huge deal to download another launcher. It's just not. So
no, dude. Honestly, at this point, these people, I think a lot of them, they don't even know why they're mad about it anymore. Like, I think these people, it's just ingrained into who they are now. They hear Epic Game Store and they're like, oh, you know, like they don't even know why they're going, oh, they just are. Like, it's just like they've been so mad about it for so long. They have no other reaction, you know, like they're not even capable of having a different reaction.
Yeah, because I think I'm going to buy this on PC because the mods that people make for the Tony Hawk Pro Skater is fucking hilarious. And some people have actually modded the original engine and just like imported like random levels. So like, I don't know if you saw it on Twitter, but it was somebody modded the original Tony Hawk Pro Skater, and they were skating on Bob Field with Cloud, and he was skating. His board was Soul Calibur sword, Excalibur.
Oh my god, that's
hilarious. It was just fucking hilarious. And then the music that was playing was like some Kingdom Hearts music in the background. It was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life, and I loved it. So, hey, like,
yeah, that sounds good.
I can't wait for the mods that come out from this. So
music packs and shit like that. You know,
yeah, exactly. It's gonna be fucking crazy. But yeah, the remake, it looks exactly like I wanted from a Tony Hawk next gen Tony Hawk game, and I'm glad they're bringing it. Because I don't know if we talked about it, but I think I was talking about it with you or someone else, how like skate games just disappeared from existence, like snowboard games and all these X games just disappeared.
Right around like PS3 start like launch, I feel like it's like that those genres were dead.
Yeah, like the BMX games, the snowboarding games. Like, I remember I had Dave Mears BMX, I had SSX Tricky, I had Tony Hawk games. Like, I had all this shit and I loved it. And they just disappeared. I guess with the 2000, that fad kind of ran out. But like, I know a lot of people, if this gets young kids back outside skating, I will love that shit.
I don't think it will. I think all you old motherfuckers are going to be buying this game, and that's about it. I think that's pretty much it. So, yeah, I mean, it's not a franchise I ever tried, but I know how revered it is in gaming circles. So it looks really good. I'm like, damn, they put effort into this. Like, after what was it, Pro Skater 5, I think was the one they came out with like 2 or 3 years ago that was just like a giant shit pile, like basically so they could retain the license. But or actually no, it was the last game they could make on the license, and it was they just pooped this game out real quick, and it was horrible. Which is funny that Tony Hawk and Vicarious Visions would like come back to Activision after that, but you know, it is what it is, I guess.
I mean, Activision knows how much money is in this franchise. Like, they would not let this. They're not gonna let this shit go.
Right.
At all.
Right. Yeah. Word. All right. Let's move on. We got a couple more here. So another this is a rumor. Diablo 2. We've obviously we talked about Warcraft 3 Reforged earlier in the year, but there's been a lot of rumors swirling about Diablo 2 remaster in the last few months, and it's starting to look like this is real. Diablo 2 Resurrected, supposedly coming by the end of this year, and it's going to be made by also, I believe, Vicarious Visions, which is the developer that we just referenced on the Tony Hawk thing. And those are probably good hands to have this game in, because They made the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy and the Crash Team Racing as well. And they are a very, very accomplished remake studio, I feel like. So I don't know. I don't think this is going to be an actual remake, but it seems like a pretty involved remaster of the game. But I don't know. Does this excite you? Did you ever play Diablo 2?
No, I didn't have the luxury of playing Diablo
Okay.
2.
Well, our friend Jet is super excited. He's,
Oh yeah, we fucking destroyed them in the group chat though. That was
right.
hilarious.
Yeah, sure. I'm sure they'll bring it to mobile, right? Get some phones, right? Get some phones.
Oh my god! But yeah, I'm looking forward to it because I've heard nothing but the best things about this game.
Yeah, what I hope actually, and the article I have in the Forbes article I have actually references some quotes from a few years ago about the development of this game, that apparently a lot of the source code for the game was lost. So the person in question who worked at Blizzard said that it would be very difficult to make a remake for this game. So the fact that they might be actually doing it means that some of the game might be remade or redone. And to me, frankly, I don't think Diablo 2 really holds up anymore as an ARPG. I know that's probably would get me destroyed by people, but I've played it fairly recently and it plays okay, but I think it could definitely use some tweaking and updating somewhat. So, and Vicarious Visions has shown that they're very, very good at that, and do it justice without like completely changing the game. So I think they could do it personally. Kind of sucks that they're getting this game. I almost like kind of wish they'd gotten the Warcraft 3 reforged and made it, because I actually trust them to do it very
Blizzard.
well. Yeah. And I don't trust Blizzard, the company that fucking owns the game. Let me just say this to everybody out there. If you're a Diablo 2 fan and you're looking forward to this, it's a really, really good thing that this isn't being made internally at Blizzard. If this is true, that it's being made by Vicarious Visions, it's a really good thing that it's not being made internally at Blizzard. Just understand that. So,
well, they outsourced a lot of their stuff, but even when they outsourced it, it was like a shitty. You can only do so good with like a source, right? If you give someone
fucking outsourced the art.
Yeah, they outsourced the art.
They didn't do anything with the rest of it internally. This is different. They're outsourcing. It sounds like they're outsourcing the whole thing. So that's good. That means it'll get done and it'll actually be decent. Warcraft 3 was like this slapdash, half-ass. Oh yeah, we'll do the development part of the game, and then we won't do that, because that's what happened.
Even the outsourcing companies. So the outsourcing was so bad, not from the company side. Like they did exactly what they were told to do, right?
Yeah.
And the outsourcing was so bad that the company that did that made the assets and everything was like, hold on, guys. First of all, look at our track record. Good, right? Yeah, they told us to do this. Please don't blame us. Like they had to disassociate themselves from
they
Blizzard.
Literally went on Reddit and disassociated themselves from the whole thing. We're like explaining to the fans what the fuck happened. So yeah, it was a disaster. So again, if Vicarious Visions is doing this, that's great. It's going to be good if that's the case. So look forward to that. Last story of the day. This is a rumor I'm really excited about if this is true. So Ubisoft has registered a domain for Prince of Persia 6 recently. And it's interesting because Ubisoft has mentioned that they have 5 games coming out this year. I don't believe this is going to be one of them, but with the registration of that domain, it wouldn't. I feel like it would be.
They could just be updating the trademark, whatever they call it, just to keep the name Prince of Persia. They could be doing that, but
that just doesn't seem like why though.
I mean, a lot of companies do that. A lot of companies just retrade. I think it's called retrademarking or something like that, so they won't lose the license over that game or the name of that game or the name of that franchise rather.
Yeah, but I don't feel like registering a domain would
Oh
like.
yeah, probably not. I mean, they probably are making a Prince of Persia game.
I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean anything. It could just be like a preemptive thing. They're like in the beginning of thinking about making a game and they haven't made
Yeah,
anything yet. But like Prince of Persia, so there's been a bunch of Prince of Persia games. There were a bunch on NES, but the one that really like to me put Prince of Persia on the map was the Sands of Time in 2003.
yeah,
And
I
that was
remember
it.
that one.
That was the beginning of a trilogy: The Warrior Within, and then Two Thrones. I didn't play Two Thrones. I played Warrior Within somewhat, but Sands of Time was the one I played the most, and that game was fucking really good. That was like that's one of the best games of that year that I can remember. And then they've made a couple more since then that were decent-ish, but I don't know if it was more of a Sands of Time. Like honestly, I'd love like a Sands of Time remake or remaster, one of the two of those. That would be great. That could be what this is too, potentially. It might not be a new game. It could just be like a re-release, but it would be weird to register a domain called Prince of Persia 6, though, if you're doing that. So, so yeah, I don't know. Did you ever play Sands of Time or no?
Um, this franchise has been. I've never played the games per se. Never
Okay.
played them. I watched people play them. The one game that I did play was Prince of Persia 2008, which was like I guess the one that put the nail in the coffin for the franchise. I just remember when that game came out, a lot of people fucking hated that game.
Yeah, it was cell shaded.
Yeah, it was cell shaded, and it was more like
It was a reboot too.
yeah, it was a reboot, and it looked like a character action game type of thing. But I just remember like the encounters were like very far and few as far as combat wise. So that was my first intake of the franchise. But I remember like I don't know my cousin or somebody like he's like way older than me, but he loved it like on the original PC or whatever it came
Yep.
out on, and he loved that Prince of Persia game. That's the game he remembers, and then he played Sands of Time, and he loved those games as well. I've never really played it because to me, I don't want to offend anybody, but like I said, I played it in 2008. When did I think 2006 is when Assassin's Creed came out? So when I played it and then I went back and saw like the other games, I'm like, oh, this is like Assassin's Creed.
It is. No, seriously, Sands of Time, Warrior Within, and Two Thrones are literally the games that kind of led into Assassin's Creed. Like they very clearly are like the basis for what they made Assassin's Creed to be. But that doesn't mean this franchise can't come back and like be innovative and be good, you know?
Yeah.
Now,
because I do like the whole parkour thing. Like I think it did it before anyone else was. It did do it before anyone else was.
and it did it well too, dude. Like you know how Uncharted has fucking parkour and like wall climbing and shit. Yeah. Prince of Persia did that shit way fucking better than Uncharted ever did. Because Uncharted, it's literally handholds that you just like press the directional button to do. No, you actually needed to like time jumps and wall runs and stuff like that in Prince of Persia. Like it was, you know, there was actually some interesting gameplay in there related to the parkour.
Yeah, and like I thought that was always interesting because and that's what I think I'm gonna go back and revisit whenever if they do have like an HD remaster or whatever the fuck they're gonna do with this. I am gonna go back and revisit like the Sands of Time and stuff like that. I think when I went into the Prince of Persia games, I was expecting an action game, but the main focus on this game is the platforming, and I respect that.
That's true of Sands of Time. Warrior Within and Two Thrones definitely veered much more towards combat, which was controversial at the time, given how Sands of Time was. But I think they were still good games. They still had a lot of platforming as well in them. So it's just like the second one, dude, if whenever we like, remember if they do a re-release and you play these games, like the contrast between the first game and the second game is going to be so jarring to you because the first game is like this, like really stylized, like, you know, kind of almost like, I won't say like a Disney story, but like
it does look like a Disney movie though.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
right.
That's what it looks
the story's
like
a little darker than Disney would do, but
yeah.
The second game turns into this like super hyper dark game where like death metal's playing and it's fucking like super hardcore, you know, and it's like the prince is a fucking murdering motherfucking psychopath, you know. It's like it kind of went in a weird direction, and yeah. So he turned into like an assassin in the second game. It was kind of weird. Whereas the first game, he was decent at fighting, but it was like not. You weren't really, that wasn't like the game. Like fighting wasn't like the way the game progressed. So yeah, it's I don't know. It's an interesting franchise. I hope they do an HD remaster of those 3 games in particular, because I do want to play the second 2. I never like beat them, so I would love to do that. But I would love to play Sands of Time again too. So
I like the 2008 version. It wasn't enough combat for me, but like I said, I think the primary focus was the parkour or the platforming. And the 2008 version had a lot of platforming in it. Like that was the main focus of the game. So I think a lot of people came into it with what's the second one called? Forgotten Sands or the
Warrior Within.
Warrior Within. I think a lot of people came into it with the Warrior Within. They wanted that combat aspect, but just from what you're telling me and what I played and I saw the complaints for at the time, a lot of people were complaining that there wasn't enough combat. Okay. Whereas a lot of other people were like, "Wow, this has a lot of platform and parkour in it. I love it."
Which is what Prince of Persia is, dude. Like, yeah. I think that is kind of the core gameplay. I think they can marry that with good combat. Yeah. That's kind of I think that would be what I'd be looking for if they were making a new game. Is like the marriage of those 2 things and them both being good.
I don't want it to be open world though. I want it to
no,
be like
absolutely not, because then you're just making Assassin's Creed with like a different skin. It's
I think they're gonna do that. Like if they were to, I think they're gonna do that.
No. I don't need fucking Ubisoft Towers in a Prince of Persia game. No. Fuck that shit.
And then they're gonna rebrand it, or they're gonna reboot it to where it is like it's a prequel to the Assassin's Creed.
Oh my fucking god, no.
Like the prince himself used to be a fucking assassin.
We're done. This conversation's over. I'm ending it. We're moving on to game releases. What the fuck is coming out this week? Montrell's ruining everything. What the fuck? Nothing's coming out this week. Best Friend Forever. Montrell, you want to be my best friend forever while I fucking beat you silly for turning Prince of Persia into an Assassin's Creed prequel?
Oh my god, bro! You know what's gonna happen. I'm just letting you know that's gonna happen.
I hate you.
If this game is level based, I will buy you dinner. Like I will take you out to dinner.
Ooh, okay, all right. I'm intrigued. I'll take that bet.
This game is like level based, like maybe they have a hub or whatever, right? But it's like primarily a level based game. Like I would take you out to dinner. I think it's gonna be open world.
If it's open world, I'll play League with you for like I don't know, for like 2 days. 2 days, 2 League sessions.
All right, I'll take you up for that deal. And we gotta stream it. We gotta stream it.
Okay. I'm running around with like Katarina, just getting my ass destroyed, like oh my god. Well, moral of the story, there's nothing coming out this week. Super Mega Baseball 3. If MLB The Show is not good enough for you. Yeah.
Hold on. Is this list updated?
Yeah. I mean, not really. There's some more stuff, but it's not much, dude. Like we have 2 different lists we look at for this segment, but
okay. Yeah. Like 2 weeks from now, it says on May 29th, The Last of Us is getting released.
Yeah, they need to update that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, 2 weeks from now is good though. You got Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, BioShock Collection on Switch, Borderlands Collection on Switch, XCOM 2 Collection on Switch. I mean, that's good what you can play. Fuck, dude. Yeah. So
I don't know if you don't want to get into Dragon Age. I definitely, because I'm buying Xenoblade Chronicles so I can play that for the first time, or not for the first time, so I can beat it. I didn't beat the first game. Mm-hmm. But I do want you to play BioShock. Like, I think you'll love that fucking game.
I know. I have it on PS4. I got it for PS Plus. Like,
that's right. That's right. Yeah, that game's fucking good, man.
I know.
If you're looking for like a first-person campaign that's good.
I know. My brother's been bagging on me to play that game for literally 12 or 13 years since it came out. Like, it just, like, whenever it comes up, he's like, "Have you played BioShock yet?" No. What the fuck are you doing?
Like, so, I don't want to like. hype it up for you or whatever. But I think the story's pretty decent.
It's what an understatement. It's literally been hyped up like beyond belief. Like from my brother, the internet, every podcast I've ever listened to related to video games, when they bring up BioShock, they say it's the best game ever made. So it's like, I know
the best game ever made.
It's fucking hyped to shit, dude. Like, it's super hype.
I think for the time it was released, it was a really good game because no one was doing the dual powers thing. Like you were using it to solve puzzles and fight enemies, and they had some very intricate puzzles in the game. And on top of that, the story was really good. The environment was creepy, so it was a really, really, really different game from what was coming out at the time, like Call of Duty, Halo, and all that shit like that.
Right.
So it stood out at the test of time for that. So yeah,
I'll check it out someday. Trust me. Yeah, I will. I know I will. All right, I'm calling it there. This has been a big ass show. We're gonna end it this week. So if you like this show, please like the show, review the show, and subscribe to the show on whatever feed you are listening to it on, and share it with your friends, please. And I'm adding this on now. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for when the show drops on there. We're also going to be doing other stuff on there, potentially Let's Plays, maybe more in-depth videos. Those aren't going to be coming a ton, but we'll work them in when we have time. Yeah,
so your expectation for that, I guess we can set an expectation for that. Like your expectation for like other content would be like every once in a while, but the podcasts are going to be weekly. Like
on YouTube, the podcast will be weekly with gameplay, and you will definitely commit to that. But other content, that's going to be a once in a while thing. Like
those are going to be
average
passion projects. So we
might average one every month or two, probably. So.
I wouldn't even commit to that. I'll say like one.
I'm not. You're right. I'm not going to commit to that either because the one I'm thinking of doing right now is probably going to take me 4 months. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm writing up a huge script right now for one I'm doing. So
yeah, right. I'm thinking of the same thing. So, but when we release those, we'll announce it on the podcast. So
yeah,
you'll hear about it. So. If you'd like to interact with either of us on Twitter, you can do so at iTrap for the Hokage for Montrell. That is the number 4, not the word. I am at Thundernut01. The show is at The Player's Take. And if you'd like to send us questions, you can do so on Twitter. Or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com. That is it. Next week, we're going to be talking about State of Play. Sony announced that today. That is going to be happening tomorrow. It's going to be fully about Ghost of Tsushima. So I am expecting a big blowout story, gameplay, a whole bunch of shit. I'm going to be watching it in full because I don't really care about this game that much, so I don't care about spoilers. Plus, I'm morbidly curious about the gameplay. Are they making a Sekiro clone? I need to know that. Like, I literally need to know that.
I don't think they're going to make a Sekiro clone, but
I don't
wait till tomorrow.
We'll find out, and we will have thoughts for you next week. So we hope you guys enjoyed this one, and we will see you on the next one. All right? Bye, guys.